Hey, it's Spooky Tuesday, October the 31st, 2017.
Yeah.
This is the Giant Bombcast.
Hello.
Giant Bomb Fast.
That's not.
No.
Oh.
That's,
Yeah.
I understand.
Okay. No, all right.
Okay.
No.
That'll play a lot better on video.
No.
Like, oh, the guys aren't eating?
I don't know that it.
Probably won't play well at all.
Yeah, I find, if you eat before the podcast, it's a lower energy thing.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
It's just So we always fast.
Well, you got to eat some superfoods before you come in here.
No.
Like some kale. Some good AM kale.
Nothing says good
Before
morning
podcast.
like a big handful of kale.
That's right.
Just yeah.
cram it
just,
raw.
Just
Right
stuff
in
it
the
in
face.
there and be like, let's podcast.
That's right. Hey, it's the Giant Bobcast. It's Halloween. I'm Brad Shoemaker. Jeff Gersman is here. Ben Pack is here.
Hi.
And Greg Miller is here.
Hey!
Hi.
Hey, how you guys doing?
I'm doing well.
This is my first official Bombcast
That's right.
appearance. Not
Yeah.
an E3 thing. I'm pretty
years,
stoked.
years in the making.
The real
Up
thing.
from the minors. This is what happens when no one's at work.
Put in the hard work.
Yeah.
And,
When I DM'd you to get you on this podcast, I noticed there was a DM from like 2014 where I was saying, hey, we should have you on the podcast sometime.
Yeah, that happens a lot. to us.
Finally.
Yeah.
I've made it happen.
No, you guys are always super requested for Kind of Funny as well, and it's always like, oh yeah, we totally should, and we totally forget about it, and then
Yep.
we bring Jeff on Game Over Greggy, and not even the games version of it. We're like, all right, great.
And I come on and be like, all right, let's talk about wrestling. It's still bad, as it turns out. Xavier Woods is good. Jack Gallagher's good.
Damn right. Jack Gallagher's the man.
Yeah.
I like that umbrella gag.
Yeah.
And we picked the best possible day for you to be here.
Halloween. I was super
That's right.
stoked. You didn't even have to ask. I was like, do
Yeah.
I get to wear a costume?
I know,
Should I
right?
wear a costume?
I wasn't even thinking about wearing a costume until you said that. And I
Had
was
to do
like,
it, yeah.
Shit, man. He's coming in here. He's going to show us up. I got to up my game now.
I went to 3 separate Halloween stores.
Okay.
And this is what I came away with.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Seems like an Amazon Prime order could have taken care of all of that. real quick.
That's what I said. My wife likes to leave the house, and I'm like,
not a fan of that.
if you want, we can. It's actually been really fun going to these Halloween stores and just seeing the just utter dog shit that they sell.
Yeah.
This year, our town didn't even. So Spirit is like the big pop-up Halloween chain.
Yeah.
We didn't even get a Spirit this year. Normally we do. This week it was Halloween, or this year it was Halloween City, which seems like it's an even lower tier.
Because in the old days when Spirit popped up, you were like, what is this knockoff Halloween thing? And then they just got so big, you're like, oh,
Right.
they are the Halloween
Exactly.
thing.
They are-
Now the
they are
knockoff
the-
Halloween thing has a knockoff Halloween thing.
Yeah, and so they got the burned down grocery store this year instead of Spirit, and it's just they had all manner of just like stuff. You're just like, who is this for? Like, are people really like the one wrestling costume they had was CM Punk?
Oh,
And you're
timely.
like,
Timely.
exactly. Like what? That's ridiculous. They had Chong, no Cheech, just Chong.
Cheech very popular this year.
Yeah,
exactly.
Sold out.
Yeah, but like, what kids are like? I'm going to dress up like Chong.
Well, no, that's not how it works. Kids are into
Yeah,
it.
kids-
Kids want to do it. It's for lazy people like us who are just like, oh, crap, I got a thing tomorrow. What do I
gotta
do?
do a thing.
You know
Let's
what I
go
mean?
down there and let's put this together.
My girlfriend came back from the Goodwill with this amazing piece of flair on my head
Yeah.
yesterday
Mhm.
and immediately wanted to put it on my head.
You're
Like
Sonic.
from a thrift store,
Yeah.
like straight out of
I
the
hate
store.
That, no.
Mm-hmm.
And I immediately said, you really want me to put that thing on my head without washing it first?
What do you think? Someone died
Can
in
you
it?
imagine
Yeah,
the type of person
I
who-
do.
The original. It's an R.L. Stein novel.
Who do you
Yeah.
think owned and wore a Sonic the Hedgehog mask before?
I mean, this is the town where Sega was, so
That's
like you have to
true.
imagine there's like a
Okay.
billion former Sega employees that
Yeah.
had that shit.
I guess you're
And they
right.
finally got rid of it at Goodwill, and
Okay.
and now you've ended up with some leftover video game swag, and you paid
That's
for
right.
it for once.
It was $1.
Okay.
As it should be.
I feel pretty good about it.
Were the gloves part of it? Was it?
I think so. I think the gloves kept the ring is homemade.
Okay, that.
No.
All right.
It's a nice ring.
yeah,
it's like
pretty-
it's
Because
a
the
glitter-
gloves look like they've got some use.
Think so.
The gloves
Yeah,
look
these
like
things
they've
look
been
like
around
they're a
the
little
block.
pilled up. They look
Material's
like
a little
some things,
balled up,
some things
yeah.
happened in those gloves.
Looking a little, yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway.
We don't want to know what happened to him.
Indeed. And then we've got the Hamburglar running the wheels
There
of
it is.
steel.
Robble, robble. I didn't even know that's what he said.
Yeah?
But then some people pointed. I'm not well versed in Hamburglar lore.
You're not up
You're
on
one
the-
of the fake McDonald boys
Yeah,
I
I'm a
hear
big
about.
McDonald's
Okay.
fan.
Okay.
Wow.
They don't even own the Happy Meal toys.
Oh man.
That is elaborate. What did it take to? I mean,
Just a couple trips one trip to Michael's to get some felt for the tie. I'll put here.
Oh, so there is a bit of homemade here.
There's
Yeah.
So the tie is homemade.
Okay.
The hat has this
That's
little
some-
band.
You did some work.
Everything else was Amazon or Party City for the actual shirt.
Nice.
It's a nice ensemble.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
I
my
thought-
partner's the Grimace. Turns out that one's a lot harder to recognize on its own because it's just kind of a purple mass.
Sure.
But when you're together, the power of a couple's
you
costume
go.
really shines,
Yeah, that'll get
and
it.
people got it.
Well, the problem is that so many people have forgotten about the McDonald's expanded universe.
Right.
Yeah.
They
When
don't
we had
really lean into it
The
anymore.
Fry
Yeah.
Guys, the
Oh,
chicken
yeah.
nuggets, like we
Birdie.
had a Birdie,
Birdie.
Yeah.
Mayor McCheese.
Mayor McCheese, of
Yeah.
course.
The
Yeah.
Big Mac, the sheriff.
Was that who it was? I couldn't
Yeah.
remember who the sheriff was.
Who was the moon? It was like Mac the
Oh,
Mac,
yeah.
Oh yeah.
That was just
That's like
Mac.
Mac. I
Mac-
knew he was
Mac
Mac,
the Knife
yeah.
or something
But
like
he
Well,
was
he's
like,
saying Mac the Knife.
Yeah, yeah,
but-
he was the adult version.
Right.
Like, he
That's
was like,
right.
hey, this isn't just for kids. I
That's
look
right.
like the 80s guy who sells you Pepsi, but I am also
Yeah,
here
it's
to
like
do
we
this.
know Ronald McDonald. That he's for the children. I'm up here
in the moon at
singing
night.
proper
This is
nighttime
this is
music.
McDonald's after hours.
They also
Fish fillet.
rebranded the Hamburglar as like a hot dude. Have you seen? He's like a guy now. He's just a man in a
Is
leather
this
jacket.
you trying to say that you're the?
Are you the
No,
rebranding?
because he's
of-
wearing a leather jacket and he's got like this look on his face, like I'm gonna steal something other than hamburgers. I don't know what's going on.
Wait a minute.
It didn't really take off.
Are you trying to ship the Hamburglar with somebody?
That's up to the audience to
Okay.
decide. I'm not trying to force my
Are
ship
you
onto
saying the
anyone
Hamburglar
else.
commits crimes of passion now?
Yes, for
Actually, maybe
sure.
he always did because I mean he was passionate about hamburgers. As
Yeah.
am I.
It'd be hard for me to find him guilty.
It
Of
sounds
his
like good
crimes.
Persona 5 DLC.
Yeah,
Hamburgers
it's in the
there to
Ultimate
steal your heart.
Edition.
Yeah.
You know, just pay the $170 for it, and you get all the Hamburglar DLC. That's a look.
It is quite a look.
It is a look.
So,
Yeah.
I imagine that we all had quite an odyssey over the weekend. I'm curious to hear the origins of your thoughts about recent releases,
Nazis.
because as we all know, Friday was a real Wolfenstein of a release day.
Oh man, you had it. You had it.
Games,
you got there.
a bunch of games came out.
Yeah, they did.
Y'all.
Yeah, it was the day for video games. There are like 3 video games left
Yeah.
for the rest of the year.
Yep, that's it. Now there's some other stuff.
No, there's
but that was probably the biggest day of the year.
whatever. There's like 3 video games coming out on Steam every 5
Yes,
minutes now.
exactly.
It's like,
Definitely true.
There's no escape.
I figured we would come in here talking about a bunch of Mario,
Yeah.
but
I want to do that.
Wolfenstein, dude,
Really?
holy fuck.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I played both. So
Well, we can talk about
I
everything.
was saying before
That's
the
my man.
show,
Yeah,
like,
we
give
can
me
talk
the
about
pack.
everything.
Like, honestly, like Assassin's Creed, I feel bad for the Assassin's
Yeah,
Creed
exactly what
people
I was thinking
because
coming in here.
out against those 2 games, like
Yeah.
both those games seem vital in a way that Assassin's does not.
But like, by
But
all
it
accounts,
took a year off.
Yeah.
It came back after a year
Yeah.
off.
by all accounts, it's a really good Assassin's Creed. Like,
Okay.
Yeah.
That's
I saw none other than Kevin Van Ord,
perhaps
perhaps the biggest Assassin's Creed fan I've ever met.
he's got the tattoo
He's
to
got
prove it.
the logo tattooed on his arm.
Yeah.
Said
Saying
it's like his favorite one since 2 or
Wow.
Brotherhood.
See, that my thing.
So
I tried to jump into it because
Yeah.
I like Assassin's Creed a lot, and taking the year off. I didn't play that much Syndicate beforehand, and jumping into this one, got it, popped it in on the first night I got it or whatever. Played 30 minutes of it, and I was like, I'm super confused. This intro's weird. Who is this guy? Where am I? I'm grumpy. I'm tired and grumpy. I'm going to bed. I'll come back to it. And then woke
Yeah.
up in the morning. I'm like, let's play some Assassin's Creed. And I put it in, did another 30 minutes. I'm like, I don't know what this is. I'm going back to Wolfenstein.
wow, I did hear it has a super slow start.
And
Yeah,
so
that's
many
what I've been hearing.
so many people have written into me and been like, dude, I totally hear you. You got to give it like another
Yeah.
hour. Just give it an hour. Get out of that initial area. Get a feel for it. Get some sea legs.
We're also in this weird spot where like the Xbox One X is coming out pretty soon here, and like I want to see games running on that thing. So I'm like holding back. Like Assassins is kind of just de facto became the game I will wait for them to post their patch.
It's what they showed at E3, right?
Yeah,
They were
so I can
popular about
see
that.
what that looks like there and maybe play more of it then. Because I played Wolfenstein on like baseline Xbox One. It's a very blurry game.
Huh.
These Nazis are very blurry.
Yeah.
They are. Especially when blood splatters all over them. It's
well,
even harder.
Yeah, it's even hard. What is that even?
Yeah.
At that point. Yeah.
you beat it?
I did.
Yeah?
Yeah, I
You
just
love
finished it yesterday. So my feelings on Wolfenstein, I would say, are extremely positive, but also very mixed.
Ooh,
Yeah,
okay.
I'm with you.
Yeah. So did you finish it?
No.
Okay.
no, but
so-
I did. Man, it's going to be a hard game to talk about because everybody should see this thing for themselves.
Yeah, there are things that happen over the course of that game that like are unfucking believable.
and a lot
for
of them,
video games,
and in very quick succession.
Yeah.
yeah,
Ben, you started playing it last night.
Yeah,
don't
I
know
think I got to kind of the first. I got to the first part in the game where I was really like, "Oh, okay, they're going here." It involves movies. I guess
Yeah.
is a good way to not spoil
Sure.
anything.
that was a yeah. So that was a moment where I had to stop and go, fucking what? Yeah, there's of the wild moments in that game, that was one that definitely stuck out to me the most. But anyway, it is a lot like the first game mechanically, like as shooters go, like, and I'd forgotten about this in the years since Wolfenstein's release. That game does not play like other first-person shooters.
Yeah,
it is a difficult game if you try to play it like other first-person shooters, I think. And even still, like even on the default difficulty, which is like the lowest or the second lowest out of 6.
Mm-hmm. Is that the default?
Yeah.
So the descriptions on those difficulties are weird.
There's
like,
2 that say medium.
Yeah, 2 that say like
then,
one says like medium for casual gamers, and then I think the other one is like medium
and that's
for
the default.
experienced gamers.
The
So
default one is medium for casual gamers
Okay.
or whatever.
It turns out I am so not even a casual.
I guess,
gamer.
yeah. Like I put it on the one up from that, the experienced one.
Yeah.
Because I was like, I've played a few first-person shooters.
I've shot
Surely
I've
I
shot
can handle
Nazis.
this.
There were sequences in
It
that
is-
game, even playing on the one lower than the one you played on,
Yeah.
that I had to restart 10 or 15
Yeah,
times.
totally.
I was
totally.
getting my head
Yeah.
kicked.
like there
in.
is
Yeah.
just fucking no reason for that game to be as punishing as it is.
Also,
It's insane.
The thing is it is punishing. As I played it, the change I made is what I think that game wants you to do, and why I was also dog shit at the first one, in a way that like I ended up just like kind of walking away from it at multiple points trying to play that game, just going like this game seems terrible. That game wants you to stay on the move.
Mm-hmm.
That game wants you to dual wield the weapons and shoot the shit out of everything and like run.
Yeah.
So you're practically like running in a circle. In any protracted battle, that's where the game gets hard. Is like, okay, you need to like stay here for multiple waves of dudes. Like that's usually where the game is at its hardest, because it's really bad at letting you know you're being hit.
Yep.
Like it just seems like your health is gone before you realize.
Yeah,
you look down and go,
100%.
oh,
Yeah.
geez. It's,
Unless you were very frequently keeping an eye on that number.
Meticulously
Yeah.
watching
Yeah,
that.
exactly.
If you don't watch that number constantly, like you can just die.
Because
and
there's
not even
no,
realize it.
that was my thing, and like, because I was getting my head kicked in. Because this is, I was telling you earlier, like I haven't played a game in years that I remember going in and like I gotta dial the difficulty down.
Yeah.
Holy shit, I have to dial the difficulty down again. And it was these things
Yep.
where I'm running around getting shot, and it's not bleeding in, losing color,
Yeah,
getting all
right,
red.
yeah,
It was just
yeah.
like, oh, I'm dead.
Oh, the
God
number
damn
went
it.
down.
You
I
like
didn't
look
notice.
down and realize you have 9 health.
Yeah,
And it's
exactly. Like,
oh,
oh
fuck
no.
yeah.
It's to the point that I feel like maybe they just included the health pack system because it's a throwback and not necessarily because it serves the game.
yeah.
Like it feels like this would be better with recharging health.
I think
Like
you're
the
right.
way
Well,
the encounters are
yes,
balanced.
but also the way I think it's a few things. One, I think the range at which you pick up health and armor is too narrow. Like you can hit X to pick things up, but also if you walk directly over ammo or armor,
Yeah.
it will automatically collect it.
I wish it would auto pick up health too.
So the health system is a pain in the ass because so for most of the game or for the game, the health is 50 at the start of that game. I'll say that.
That's another problem for story reasons. Yeah, they cap your health at half of the maximum for like way too long.
Well, half of the maximum for what though? I mean,
Well,
like,
I mean, it
it's-
was 100 in the first
It
game.
was,
like,
but
that's,
it's whatever. You also can carry a lot more armor,
Yeah.
to kind of offset that.
And the suit
there's
has its
storyline
own thing
reasons,
too, right?
yeah. For that. So I think it ends up being balanced out in a slightly different way. So you can pick up more health; it will overcharge you, but that health ticks away. So they don't want you to pick up health when you're already at or close to the limit, because then you might be wasting it if you're saving it for later.
Oh, the proton pack's coming off.
Oh yeah,
Seeing the pack now.
yeah.
He's getting serious.
Yeah.
See, it's doing its thing. It's lighting up.
It's lighting up. It's a very serious proton pack.
What kind of batteries go in that thing?
C batteries.
Oh wow,
And a ton of C batteries. If you turn on the sound,
Yeah.
they go like nobody's
Oh,
business.
sure,
Right?
yeah.
it's just like the Game Gear of backpacks.
I have an AC adapter I plug into the wall.
Great.
so I'm
Okay.
like,
Yeah. So they, that's why they don't let you automatically pick up health, because it will tick away.
yeah,
But also that sucks.
Yep.
So
Because like when you're in an insanely frantic firefight, like some of those health packs are pretty small
They
and
are.
obscure, and you don't have time to run around looking for them.
yeah,
and hitting the button.
there were definitely cases where you're walking past stuff and you see the prompt pop up for a second as you're walking past, and you're like, oh man,
You
if
got
I'd
the
been
hitbox. Yeah.
hammering on the X button. So that's something that I think is less of a thing on the PC, because it's just easier to aim and do all that stuff. But on a console, like they should have adapted the controls a little bit more for console to kind of just make it easier to pick up health and that sort of
but
stuff.
this is their shtick, right? With it, like I remember this being with the original Wolfenstein.
Yeah.
Not the original Wolfenstein.
Yeah,
the
right.
first Wolfenstein and the new series here.
Yeah.
Being the fact of like it is a callback to old school Wolfenstein and old school gaming, where you do need to pick this stuff up. And
if they're at least like vocally intentional about the whole thing, I feel a little better
I
about
feel
it.
on number one they were.
Yeah,
whereas
like-
this one now they're just like it's in the Wolfenstein universe. You know
yeah,
you get it.
But also, like, if you go all the way back to original Wolfenstein, I never had trouble picking up a health pack. pack.
Yeah.
Like you walk over, and it's done. Like it was better there.
Yeah.
So yeah, like that stuff's frustrating, and you do have to adjust to it. But I think the other thing is just a gameplay thing of if you kind of hide in that game, you will get ripped up.
And that's kind of like that's how I started approaching it, because like I almost wish they didn't let you aim down sights in that game, because it makes me naturally want to play it like a Call of Duty game, which is the worst possible way to play it.
Well, yeah, exactly. And I feel like the only way they indicate that is because every single sight that you can aim down is fucking terrible.
Yeah, you can't see anything.
Like it's just the guns are just in the center of the screen. You can see the sight. Like there's no, you can upgrade the assault rifle to get a scope if you want.
And I think there's a perk to increase damage when you're
So
ADSing?
eventually you could do more damage aiming down sights.
Yeah,
but
you should not play.
But you know what the way to actually increase damage is to pull up a second fucking gun
and shoot them
and
both.
just dual wield. So
Yeah.
anytime there was a situation where like, hey, here's a combat arena, you're going to be here for a little bit.
Yeah.
Or hey, an alarm went off and there's a bunch of guys spewing into this room. The solution becomes, I better pull out this second gun and immediately murder everyone and just keep going.
Yeah.
So if you keep moving in that game, you get out of those situations more often than not.
Yeah.
And that's something that like is so the opposite of what every other shooter is doing these days, that it's hard.
With the exceptions of like Doom from last year, like there's a few here and there, but yeah.
No,
I guess it makes
one,
sense
right?
that it would be
they're just
Doom.
shaking it
Yeah.
up. But it's so hard to shake yourselves to those tropes,
Totally.
which I'm sure was
totally.
what they want. They want.
Totally.
I mean, Wolfenstein, New Order, and then now this one, right? The reason they stand out, I think, is the fact that they feel different and play different, and they aren't your normal just run-of-the-mill shooter.
Yeah, and I think that's cool up to a point, but I also think that some of the combat's just sort of bad.
Sure.
Like when you're fighting, there are a few battles, like there's one late game one that I think is just there's a couple of late game ones that are just bad sequences that go on too long. It becomes like resource management at a point where you're just like, well, now I need to run around and pick up some ammo, and I just need to keep moving. But also the system I use to pick up ammo is bad, so I have to keep moving and mashing on the pickup button, hoping that I walk past some ammo, because I might not walk directly over it because it's sitting on a ledge and not on the ground. Like those sorts of situations happen too frequently.
Yeah.
And I think that stuff's bad.
It feels like they had the same kind of design goals as Doom from last year, but that game thought about how to solve those problems a lot more intelligently, because they had like there was a health health gain system built into the combat. Like there was a sort of like a treadmill or like a leapfrog sort of thing. Like you take damage, but then you do damage and you get the health
and then
back.
you do this melee kill, or you do the glory kill, get resources, spend them, use them.
There was like an elegance to the flow of the combat in that game that this kind of lacks.
Definitely.
And they do some cool stuff with melee kills where you can like spin around as you're melee killing somebody, so you can like know, okay, they're coming from the left. I'm in the middle of chopping this dude up, so I can like spin to the right and then go behind cover. You can kind of chain them together if you have enough health or armor. So
that was the other thing I needed to kind of get myself out of the habit of, was doing melee kills like out in the open, because you take damage while you're going through the animation.
That also happens, like you can get knocked down and you're in a canned animation of having to stand back up, and like at least on the difficulty I'm on, they can do most of your health and damage while you're stuck in that animation.
I got chain knocked down once 3 times in a row, and it just brought me down from full health and armor to nothing.
Yeah. It's it's
just fucking unforgiving.
Also,
very much.
Have you guys had any problems with like getting stuck in the geometry?
Once.
Because it happened like 3 or 4
times,
times to me, which was upsetting.
Yeah, I got stuck in a wall and had to like kind of like walk back and forth to try to poke out just enough to get killed so that I could reset it.
Are you sure that's not some Nazi occult tech though?
Very possible.
Yeah, I mean anything's possible.
It's something about the concrete, right?
Yeah, it's an Uber door. But so I mean, so I think from the gameplay perspective, I think like that stuff is interesting, and at times it's fun. At times, like occasionally, it is there's a really great shotgun in that game.
Yeah,
with some really good upgrades that I had a lot of fun with.
Yeah.
And it kind of became my go-to weapon for a lot of these situations. But I think it's got a lot of issues along the way.
It's almost like a game with two faces to me, because like the combat is kind of a black mark on what is otherwise like a fucking mind-blowing experience.
Yeah, the story's great,
Like,
right?
oh my
The
God,
characters are awesome.
It's crazy. Like they're going places that.
So I don't immediately know where Ben is.
I'm just a bit.
Let me say
I know where he is,
in mechanical terms. This is not a spoiler at all. There's a point where they offer you like 3 gadgets you can pick from.
Yes, I'm past that.
Okay, you're past me then.
Okay.
That's where I stopped.
Okay, then you're pretty late. You're getting close to wrapping it up.
Oh wow, really?
You're probably 2/3 of the way through at that point.
I thought that was like the halfway point or something.
I could be wrong. Maybe I just like got better at the game at that point. And
Also, I did all of that this morning.
Yeah.
Like I woke up,
really?
I woke up and I was like, so I'm trying not to spoil stuff here because people just need to see this thing.
Yeah, that's the
But-
thing about like I'm not where you are at even.
Oh, really?
I'm before you.
Oh wow,
yeah.
okay.
'Cause
I thought you had finished it. Okay.
No, everything started coming in. So
Yeah,
it's just
yeah,
I'm
yeah,
doing
yeah,
chip
yeah.
damage, all these different games playing through it. I'm what? I don't think this is a spoiler. I'm about to come to mainland America. Like, I'm
Okay.
still early.
Yeah,
you know what I
yeah,
mean?
Okay, that's like the second or third mission.
Yeah,
then.
Yeah,
That's
exactly.
exactly.
Yeah.
I started this morning when you get on a rocket train to go
Okay.
plant a bomb,
Uh-huh.
and then got to where I just told you I left
Yeah.
off.
Yeah.
This happened 2 to 3 hours ago, and like I'm still speechless at what I saw.
Like I had
in that span of time.
Yeah, there are moments in that game where I had to like stop playing and process
Yes.
shit that happened. And
It's
just go like,
fucking
holy shit!
and it's so effectively done.
And I think they earn it.
Yeah.
Like
Yes.
it's one thing to
100%.
say like, hey, we've got some shocking weird shit in this game.
Yeah.
But so many games do that out of nowhere,
Yep.
where
Yeah.
you're just like, oh, it was a weird twist that they just kind of threw in and whatever. All the shit they do, makes sense. They
Yeah.
foreshadow things even.
Yeah, they
Totally.
build,
like
they build
you're
up
just
to
like foreshadows things in a way that like for one of the big things that people are talking about in this game, like I knew immediately
Yeah.
upon seeing the foreshadowing of just like, oh, that's how they solve this problem, and this problem is this is going to happen.
Yeah.
And then it does, and you're like, but it's still
But it
an
even
amazing
happens in a
way.
better way
It
than you
happens-
could possibly
and the
imagine.
thing you're talking about is like maybe number 5 on my list of shocking things.
Exactly. Yeah. It's there, and
again, like I can't stress enough, not shocking just for the sake of gratuitous
No.
violence or whatever, and it's not even all violent stuff, but
right.
The intro, like the first hour, is probably the most violent I've seen the game get so far, at least
Yeah.
graphically.
Yeah.
It goes places.
Okay. But that's
It's
to
more
say
just
that
like shocking events like
Yeah.
occurring or happening to characters that you've come to. So
Yeah.
I did the dumbass foolish thing of playing through the entire first game over the weekend
Yeah.
because I didn't finish the first time, so I blew a bunch of time that I should have been playing near or whatever on that. But like this game picks up right where that game left off,
Right.
and like an incredibly consequential shit goes down in the first 30 minutes of this game that comes right out of the end of that game.
Yeah.
It's got a continuity. That
It's a direct sequel.
really,
It's
yeah,
just
really
continuation.
plays on like you having gotten to know those characters in the first game.
Yeah, but at the same time, I think even if you haven't gotten to know those characters,
Yeah,
'cause
it's
I played a chunk of that first game and then walked away from it. Like I'm familiar with the story. I kind of
Yeah.
watched the rest of the story from someone else playing, and so I felt like they did a good job of at least like kind of reestablishing characters that you might have
They
been a little less
absolutely do
familiar
because
with.
it does the Starbreeze and Machine Games thing of like big loud action level, quiet like
Yeah.
hub moment where you just kind of walk around talking to people. Like
Right.
they give it time to breathe.
And they introduced some really good characters along the way. Like
Yeah.
like that pig.
like that pig. It's a
pig.
great pig.
I love one of my favorite gaming moments of this year was walking up to that pig and seeing a prompt that said push square to interact with pig.
Yeah,
Yeah, that was not bad.
I interacted with a lot of
Like,
pigs
I-
in
like-
this game.
I saw Alex was tweeting last week that like, oh man, Wolfenstein really inserted itself into like the moment of the year conversation, and like at this point, I'm like, maybe we should just have a Wolfenstein moment of the year category.
Yeah, you probably could.
Because I could
You
easily
probably
build that
could.
list right now.
Yeah,
That's for me, the most interesting thing about it is the fact that even though it's kicking my ass and I feel like it's constantly shoving my head in shit.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
you fucked
Yes,
up.
yeah.
This is where you fuck. I'm like,
Yeah.
I'm like, ah. I'm like, oh, let's do it again.
Yeah,
and
it's
I'm
wanna
playing
keep
on the.
playing.
I don't know how the PS4 version is. I play it on Xbox One, and the load times are abysmal.
Really?
Yeah, they're
So
not
it
great.
was like
I played
these.
PlayStation
Yeah,
4,
they're
they're
not
Okay,
great.
yeah.
Yeah.
These sequences that are like I'm having to play them 9 or 10 times in some cases
wow.
because I'm fucking up, and
Yeah.
then that cut with here's a long load time every time you fail.
Huh.
It's like shit, man.
I've got a hybrid drive on my PS4,
Yeah,
which
yeah.
helps a lot with stuff like that. So it's not been super bad for me. But
yeah.
yeah, it's just it's so frustrating because there's so much I want to say about it, but we would have to.
We'll
we
get
would
to
have
it later.
we would have to get into specifics on a game that's been out for 4 days right
Yeah,
now.
but I think the thing is like I said, I feel like that they do shocking things and they earn it, and
It's shocking on 2 levels, like shocking from a gratuitous violence standpoint,
yes,
but also like shocking from like a gut wrenching sort of
From
personal,
like a narrative standpoint.
character driven.
Right.
Like they build up stories to these characters and like handle some like uncomfortable, delicate subject matter like pretty well.
yeah, really, really well. With like a really fascinating cast of characters
Yeah.
that are very outside the norm of what you expect to
Totally.
see out of most video games.
Totally.
And the way they tie into the way they use their alternate timeline to kind of bring in like the themes of it's like 61, but it still like starts to touch on the themes of the 60s at large. I think the way they bring a lot of that stuff in is really, really well done. And they go for it. They go for it, and they nail most of it. I think the ending is really weak.
Really?
Yeah,
okay.
I think it ends abruptly in a way you're like, oh, this, like, it felt like you ran out of time or something.
Does it end like they're setting up the third one to do the exact same thing?
You know,
I've seen. I don't know where this comes from. I've seen people like on forums talking about like, oh, I hope they get to finish their trilogy. Like, I don't know if they've been out there explicitly saying it's a 3-part thing.
So when we talked about the game during E3, there was very much like, you know, of course, because we're asking the question like, so where's Mecha Hitler?
Yeah.
What do we? And you know, like I think his response was even like, well, you know, once you insert Mecha Hitler into a game, you can't really come back down from that. So you know, trilogy kind of third. That's a third game
oh my
sort
God.
of thing.
I haven't even finished this game, and I desperately hope they get to make that third game.
This is very much a Crank 2 to Wolfenstein's Crank 1, where you're kind of wondering like, where can they go from here?
Yeah.
And if they go there somehow, do they ever have a way of coming back?
So the thing I'd say is like when you look at the legacy of Wolfenstein and you look at specifically Mecha Hitler,
yes,
and you look at where this game ends, or where they roll credits, I guess I should say, you know where that game's going to go.
Okay,
or you at least it's pretty easy to form in your head like, here is how you wrap up this as a trilogy.
Sure,
you know, here's where you take it. Here's what it has to happen. Here are the things that probably should occur by the time you get there. And that, I very much want to play that game. I'll be curious. Yeah, like people saying like that they hope they get to finish it. Like, I think if nothing else, like I think Bethesda has like been willing to stick with games that, you know, like Doom. Like, hey, here's this primarily single play. Like, Doom has a multiplayer, but for all intents and purposes, it shouldn't for what they did, and this as well. I think even going back to, you know, the legacy of products they did prior to id, when they were putting out Wet and Rogue Warrior and stuff like that. Like when you the classics. When you get away from the Todd Howard kind of BGS games and get into like the other stuff that they pick up and put out, and now they've picked up id, so they have that whole thing too. I think that they've been willing to put out games that you look at and go like, I don't think these are going to be big number one sellers. Like, I think Wolfenstein is a very now kind of game in a way that will help it, and I think they've obviously been leaning into that in the marketing.
As they should.
It's going to be interesting though, right? Because on the way out yesterday, when I was off to an event, Tim was telling me about like, hey, did you see this thing? And I guess like Wolfenstein did really poorly based on the UK sales. And I know that's initial launch day, crazy day.
UK retail only sales.
Yeah. But it's the thing of like, this has been the year of Bethesda. We had Pete Hines on Gamescast, very much being like, cool, no, we believe in these projects. We're doing them again. We're gonna we're gonna give you a Prey. We're gonna give you Evil Within 2. We're gonna give you Wolfenstein 2. And it seems like none of those three have like set the world on fire.
Yeah,
right?
which is
right.
What do they do with
like,
that?
They
then?
actually have, like, I was thinking about it last night. They have developed like a shockingly strong track record the last couple of years. Like, Doom, Dishonored 2, Prey, now this. Like, all extremely solid, well-received games.
Like single-player, story-driven games. Like they're doing the games that EA is running away from.
Yeah.
Right.
You know,
but the argument becomes, right, is like, and granted, I know EA is running away. They're worried about shareholders and corporations, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
On what level does Bethesda have to do that, right? When Pete was on, I was asking him, like, you know, do you consider Fallout 4 a success? Do you consider this is, you know, of where you are? And like, how do you set the expectations on games like Dishonored 2 that are, and even Wolfenstein 2 that are critically well received? Everybody loves them, but don't necessarily transfer over to, you know, giant sales numbers.
Yeah, I think that's a hard problem for them to solve, and you start to wonder, like, do they just look at it as like, hey, you know, the same way Rockstar used to, where Rockstar said like, hey, we're gonna make a game based on the Warriors, and they're like, why? Because fuck you, that's why.
Yeah, exactly.
We make Grand Theft Auto, fuck you, like we're fine.
Yeah.
You have to wonder like, okay, you know, like the, you know, They could probably just sit back and let Skyrim and Fallout 4 sell.
100%.
Yeah. All these Skyrim re-releases might be funding all these other games.
Well, you know, like every Skyrim re-release just angers more people about the mod stuff and Creators Club and all that. Like they're endangering that golden goose a little bit with some of it. But yeah, you have to wonder, like, you know, do they just fund whatever else? Is it like, okay, well, you know, we've got these games, we're fine. And, you know, they bought all this id IP that they didn't really exploit, or they're still in the process of exploiting some of that stuff. You know, Quake Champions came out this year and it's not great. You know, Doom was amazing, but yeah, it's
Doom,
you know,
VR still coming, Skyrim VR.
Right, yeah, they're doing their VR stuff, like hot on the heels of all their lawsuits about VR.
Yeah.
And yeah, so I don't know. Like,
it's just a weird thing. I just wonder, like, how that works out for them in terms of all right, they're successful enough.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, you know, the problem at an EA, at an Activision, right, is people want to be, I don't want to be successful enough. I want to be making money hand over fist.
If we're not continually growing, we're cutting
Exactly.
jobs. We're like, exactly, yeah. And that was the stuff, like EA talked that talk for a long time, and they put out the Mirror's Edge sequel. And
Yarny.
And yeah, well, yeah. They had a moment there where they were like, oh, we believe in these games.
Gamers first, I think, is what Peter Moore kept saying on
Of course,
stage.
and now Peter Moore's gone.
Yeah.
And
Liverpool first.
yeah, you've got and you've got EA, for a variety of reasons, walking away from some of the Star Wars stuff that they had been working on. You're like, okay, well, at some point you have to settle the books and figure it out. And you wonder, like, will Bethesda eventually hit a point with that where they're like, okay, we have to really take a hard look at this stuff. But they're smart. I mean, they didn't put that remember Battle Cry, the studio and the game?
Oh yeah.
No,
It was like a 5 on. I want to say it was like a MOBA-esque, kind of action MOBA sort of thing. Like that never came out. They killed it.
Well, Prey 2, right? We all saw it at E3 that one day, right? And that was killed in the crib too. And that's the thing, is that I want everybody to be successful, but I love what Bethesda's doing, what they're saying, how they're acting. The way, so many people on that Vice interview with Pete, right? That was like the really introduction of, like, Pete Hines is like, no, I don't give a fuck. Like, I'm going to tell you the honest answer if I can give you the honest answer. And that's how he's always been. And so it's like, I want to see a company like that succeed, but you see their games come out and do critically well, but then not go crazy on NPD or whatever. And it's just like, where is the balance of that? And does somebody at some point tug the leash, or is everybody on board of like, this is who we are, and we're making enough to keep everybody employed, and everybody's doing all right. So why?
I mean, they have a board of directors, and they have to answer to people. In fact, Les Moonves is on of CBS is on their board of directors. I should say that whenever we talk about Bethesda. And yeah, I don't know. For my part, like I am more interested in this other stuff they're doing, Wolfenstein, Doom, than the big games, because the big games, as cool as they can be, are always so buggy when they ship that it's just frustrating.
Well, it's like you look at them and you hope they're the company that gets it. How does a company balance business and art, right? How do you make video games, which are this artistic expression, but how do you make them profitable? And how do you keep people going? And if they can balance that out and be happy with where they are and keep everybody employed, more power to them. I love what they're doing. I love the fact that they're like, no, we're going to make this Prey game, and it's going to be super like nerdy and like system based, and you're either going to love it or you're not, and we're going to keep making them. Because on the other side, they see like Square Enix make Deus Ex, right? And then go, whoa, shoot, all right, we gave a second shot, but that shit's dead.
Yeah, let's get these people out of here. Yeah, well, I wonder, like, I want to say, like, on the heels of, was it Dishonored? Did they go through layoffs post Prey
At Arcane? I remember lately that like the CEO and a whole bunch of people left, but I don't know if
there were people that took off out of there, but maybe it was that they were just kind of like, hey, this was a grind. We want to do something else with our careers.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't remember for sure. I feel like, anyway.
Bethesda's a big company, right? That I don't think we think of as like a big company. all the time.
They were not for years,
But now they're a big company, but they're a big company that still like seems to listen to their fan base. Like our fan base wants another Evil Within 2.
Dude,
no.
They look at the Creators Club and tell me they listen to their fan base.
Okay. Don't. Fair. Like, I'm just talking about like IPs that stick.
Right.
Your mods. Good point.
But anyway, I think that they are finding a way to strike that balance, and I think that it enriches their overall. I think it enriches their company to have this diversity and to be out there being able to beat the drum for some of this stuff, like Wolfenstein or Doom.
Yeah.
Even if it's not like #1 seller, like I guess I don't know enough about the financials to know, like, did Doom make its money back? Will Wolfenstein make its money back? Like, I would like to think it would.
I'd hope so.
It might not be some wild profitable thing, but it hopefully it at least fund them to keep going with this sort of stuff. I think it's good for them. It's good for video games.
Sure, make weird shit. Not enough people are.
Totally, especially like at a bigger level. Like you want weird shit.
There's a million.
There's a million. There's a million games, but like to do weird shit at that scope, I think is really important. And yeah, I don't know. I like Wolfenstein a lot. I think it's a super impressive thing.
We came in to do that stream yesterday morning, and I think you basically just said, I can't stop thinking about it.
Yeah.
And I now, today, am in the position of not being able to stop thinking about it.
It's the collectible, and the collectibles, it's the idle dialogue from some of these Nazis before you kill them.
There's some really good idle dialogue.
It's a lot of stuff like that, and those are the moments where I think they kind of like have their kind of wink and nod to modern times.
Some of that for sure.
Where, you'll find newspaper articles that are very much like, oh, I see you.
And not just current events, but I mean, the game is about the Nazis taking over America.
Right.
And a lot of those like letters and newspaper clippings and stuff. Like dig into more long-term ugly aspects of the American character.
Right.
In ways that I was not expecting.
Yeah.
That's the type of stuff that is handled pretty deftly in that game that I did not.
It's the stuff that you look at that is like honestly a little chilling at times where you're like, I see more of real life in this than
like that game touches on some hard, ugly truths that a lot of people would rather not think about.
Yeah. And I think that's fascinating. It makes it enriches the overall game. It's not necessarily something where you're like, oh, they're doing this because they want to weigh in on it. It's
right.
They've built a universe around this alternate timeline, and then that stuff fleshes it out in ways that are fascinating, but also in some cases fucking terrifying.
Yeah, for sure. It's just that thing pulls an amazing balancing act of being incredibly grounded and thoughtful about real world issues, and also like some of the most absurd, over the top shit I have ever seen.
It's like it manages to be
dude.
Yeah. Like it manages to be upbeat in a way that like. I mean, we'll talk about the Sony stuff later, but it's like it's the difference between what Wolfenstein does with gratuitous violence and this Last of Us 2 trailer that people are talking about is like Wolfenstein manages to still feel optimistic and upbeat about like where we can go. Where and that's I think how they manage to pull off that balancing act of like, hey, here's a really graphic beheading in the opening moments of this game. While still making you feel like okay about everything along the way. It's
I have to say also tremendously hard to play through the stuff when you're a kid. It's really early in the game. There's a lot of flashbacks to when you're a child and you're dealing with your dad.
The opening of the game is
it's like another perfect illustration of like those subjects are really tough and handled really well and delicately, and also we're talking about the backstory of BJ fucking Blazkowicz, who was a little
face at the bottom of the screen
in a menu bar, for 20 years, and is now like one of the better written characters I've seen in a game in a while.
Yeah, especially for shooters.
Yeah.
Oh my god, shooters is far.
That's crazy.
Right. It's
crazy.
They've given that character and that world a weight that it was never designed to have.
Yeah.
And they've really pulled it off.
Yeah.
It's crazy. It's really crazy.
Yep. Put it on easy if you
I immediately bumped it down to like the lowest setting just because I want to see where it goes.
I stuck at that second highest one and never brought it down all the way. And
I think that's where I am now.
Yeah, and that was the default. So I'm as a rule I tend to just stick with whatever the default is.
Yeah, I'm still on that experienced one because I'm a stubborn idiot and it's making the game actively worse for me. So don't do that to yourself. Like just play it. Yeah, play it however you enjoy it.
But that's my advice is like because even on those lower settings, like you still need to kind of understand the fundamentals behind like dual wield your guns and shoot everyone while moving.
Did you guys see the achievement for beating it on the hardest difficulty?
No.
It is the regular hardest difficulty, which is like 3 levels up from where I'm at. There's like 5 regular difficulty levels. And then the 6th, I think it's the 6th, is that highest difficulty level, plus you only get 1 life and no checkpoints and no saves.
Like a hardcore.
So you have to beat the entire game without dying.
And it's called Mein Leben.
In one sitting, and it's called Mein Leben.
Yeah.
It's fucking crazy.
That's brutal. Someone will do that and more power to them, I guess. But I don't, that's not.
The trophy stat is 0%.
Of course.
As of right now. Nobody has done it yet.
They're working on it though.
Someone's like working out the stats. Like, imagine if you also could not pause, like just like really bring it up. I guess there are spots in that game where there's no combat, so you could at least set it down. And
take a breath.
Yeah.
It's a shot to calm the nerves.
Yeah,
that's a really startling, fascinating product.
It really is.
I can't wait to get back to it, but I can't stop playing Mario.
It sounds like if you like to have fun playing a video game, Mario Odyssey is your game.
And that was the thing of like why I'm just like so obsessively playing it. Is like, all right, cool. Just, what's that? I'm gonna go. Oh, cool. How do I get this? Oh, I got it. Like reward.
Those levels are designed so fucking well.
Yeah, I'm just gonna say right off the bat, like what you just described sounds exactly like their philosophy with Zelda, with Breath of the Wild. Like,
how do I get over there? What do I do?
Yeah, especially once some of those like making of. I don't know if it came out of a book, but have you seen these like talks they gave
Zelda
or something
stuff?
where they talk about their philosophy, like something that feels very organic and natural is actually something they spent like an insane amount of time thinking about, which is like, what are your sight lines when you're here doing this thing?
Right.
How can we place things so that you would just barely see like 3 other things you could do at any given time? Like Sounds like that.
This is that, but way more compact.
Exactly.
Because it's in a series of smaller worlds rather than like one big land.
And that's the thing of like, I'm at last night I was playing the chef world or whatever, right?
Yeah.
And so I'm in the fire. I'm jumping out as the fire guy, and it's like I come up because I want to get over there, and I'm like, oh wait, there's 3 purple coins. Come back down, go over there. Do it. Wait, what's that little hole in the? Oh, go through the hole in the wall. Like, oh my god!
I think that's the amazing thing about that game is they show you a lot of stuff, and there's always something there.
Yeah.
There's even just like platforms that you're like, why would they even put this platform here?
And you jump there, invisible coins.
Invisible coins.
Yep.
Like every step of the way, there's like 0 wasted space.
They reward you. Yeah. If anything looks like it shouldn't be there, like go check it out because there's something
always there. Something there, and that's something that I think a lot of other. I mean, it's like playing that and playing Wolfenstein, which has collectibles. Like just, I mean, obviously there's a lot of differences between the two, but Wolfenstein
kind of
attempting to model real world spaces versus, Mario worlds being this very handcrafted, tuned for gameplay thing, is you have that situation of like, why is this hallway here in Wolfenstein? And you're like, there's no reason this, maybe to spawn enemies out of sight, maybe. But there's no reason for this to exist other than it's architecture.
Yeah.
Whereas like Mario is like every single piece. Yeah, like you said, invisible coins on platforms that you're just like, this platform doesn't need to be here for me to make these jumps. You go over there, sure enough, they at least gave you something for going there. And that's the thing that's cool about it is everything you do in that game, they give you at least a little something.
I never feel like I wasted my time.
But at least it's something. And that ended up being the really smart thing that stuck out to me about that game.
Yeah, the mini challenges of anything. Like I was going through and I forget what it was, but it was one of the I'm going through and the lava's coming up, so there's like the little pyramid tops I'm hopping to, but then like they're alternating, so I'm trying to stay out of the fire. And I'm going through it and I was like, all right, I got the moon spawned, and then it was like the thing of like, oh, there's coins over there, and I'm like, I have like, what is it, 1,500 coins? I don't need these 3, but I'm getting these motherfucking coins before I go get the moon.
Yeah, or the purple coins like have like an even bigger use for getting
buying
cool,
stuff,
sick hats.
Get your sticker on the Odyssey,
and like allowing you to go into places. They're like, oh, you don't look like a chef, and you're like, gotta go find 15 coins, dress up like a chef, and then I'll hop in.
Who would have thought that Nintendo would have finally gotten into video game hats? and done it in such a glorious way.
That's what they do.
Yeah.
There's just also so many like cute callbacks and attention to detail and little references. There's one part in New Donk City where you meet up with a guy and like they're like, "Are you ready to go to this thing?" And your 2 options are "Let's-a go" and "Actually, let's-a wait." and like just there's so many little things like that.
Nintendo's localization has been top fucking notch for so long. Like Zelda's got a lot of like kind of twee language in it. Like that works really well too.
But yeah, the end of New Donk City, right? Like not to
spoil
it.
That was in our quick look.
Okay.
I don't know what it is.
It's
because I've seen people referring to that saying like, oh, I wish I hadn't known about that. I don't know what it is, but it sounds crazy.
Yeah, I saw it in our video ahead of time, but it still had an impact when I got there.
It's even crazier if you're hearing it too, because the song is like
there's
actually not that bad.
Yeah, there's a lot going on in that game. It's.
I think I'm coming up on the end of it. I'm in what I believe is one of the last kingdoms.
How is it structured? So you get enough moons to power your ship to fly to the next world?
Yeah.
Is that right? Is it just world after world? Do you ever get
occasionally it'll be a branching point?
Okay.
But like you pick which one to go to, and then the next stop is automatically the one you didn't go to before you then move on. So it is choice, but it's kind of a false choice.
Okay.
Because you'll
it's
go
world by world.
Yeah.
I really like the difference. All the worlds feel really unique. Like even there's 2 kind of water themed ones. Even those 2 feel different. One's like an underwater kingdom. One's a beach. Like the jungle ones are kind of different enough.
It was a little more swimming than I wanted to do in what still feels like the early parts of that game.
Is that the one with the octopus boss?
That one's pretty
the other
late.
one.
That's later.
Really?
Yeah.
That's the one they had me play at their office a month or 2 ago.
Yeah, that was a little later on.
Huh.
And then like right after that was a snow world and stuff. It's like, okay, I feel like wasn't there already a snow world or
that snow world's completely not even a snow world once you like.
That's true, right?
Find out what's going on.
Yeah.
So, like, I mean, again, I've only played it pre-release, but like in the octopus world, there are specific enemies you can possess that make it way easier to get around. Like, is that kind of true in every area?
There's some sort of system of like not necessarily fast travel, but maneuverability in almost every world. At least the ones that are
fast travel.
But also there is fast travel.
But then there's also fast travel.
Yeah. But like in the one I'm talking about, like once you possess a cheap, you can stay underwater as long as you want and also just swim incredibly fast. So
yeah,
there's that, and then it's mainly ways to get around the different things that aren't platforming, right? Like you can take over people and jump higher or whatever.
Right.
But like it is the idea of like, okay, there's the lava or the fire, so I'm gonna be the fire guy, or I'm in the water, I'll be that guy, or the octopus guy you use to beat the other octopus guy.
Yeah, and it ends up being like really like some of the forms are really inventive. Like early on, there's the stretchy onion thing.
Yeah.
That just like your only way to jump is to stretch up and then kind of fall over forward to reach these platforms. And at first I was like, this is a really dumb form. And then you realize the entire world is built around it in a way that makes it feel really good. And you're like, man, this is crazy.
Yeah, especially when you get in and you start using it in puzzles later on when like, the things are rolling at you. And you're like, geez, this is like this thing that I went from thinking is so stupid to being awesome. Same thing with the worm that extends out.
Right.
I'm going to fall to my death so often, but if you stretch out and there's nothing there, it just goes, and it goes back. I'm like, all right, that's pretty great.
Yeah, they built each world around like some, or not each world, but a lot of the worlds get built around a specific form. To where it's like, okay, this is like a great way to just get around, or puzzles are solved with this form more easily, and that sort of stuff. I wish it had better options other than the motion. Every time I turn that game on and it says try playing with detached Joy-Cons, I get sad inside because that's a terrible way to play video games.
I don't know. Like, that's like 95% of how I've played it, and the only trouble I've had with the Joy-Cons is getting up throws or down throws. I figured out you can do a spiral throw if you spin Mario around and then throw the hat, but honestly, I can count the times on like two hands where the motion controls have gotten in the way of that game.
Once I turned off because by default, it wants you to aim certain things with the motion controls.
Yes, I did turn
that off, and it still does motion control for the other stuff. Like the real thing is that you don't really need to throw the hat up or down all that often.
No.
So the circular throw is the only time when it's like helpful, and even then it's like if I'm playing with the pro controller, and if I don't want to do this, I just like run out of the circle and then start throwing the hat at everybody individually.
It just ends up being a case where like there are so many duplicated, like they use half the buttons on that controller. Like they could have just had a spin attack button, and it would be a little better.
Yeah. I saw some people saying if you turn the motion sensitivity all the way up, you can do the motions very lightly. Like very small.
That sounds like a nightmare.
Yeah,
I just move my controller in general. I don't want them doing that stuff.
But yeah, generally I think Mario is very like controllable. I mean, it's based on Galaxy and Mario 64 and fucking Sunshine.
You guys pulled up that move list, and there's like 20 moves on there or something. Like that's a lot of stuff.
But like the majority of them, you look at them and go like, okay, if I crouch and do a jump, he does this. If I triple jump, he does this. If I hit the wall and bounce, it's all the stuff.
Yeah, it looks so overwhelming on paper, and then you play it like, oh wait, no, I remember this.
He just does the stuff that he does.
Yeah.
It's only like hold down the button so the hat stays out there so you can jump on it and do this. Like this.
I like the addition of the ground pound jump. I've been using that a little bit. It's really good for like tight ledges if you're trying to scale a wall. I thought that was a neat.
It was a really interesting point Dan made in that review was that you can find unconventional or unintentional ways to get around stuff. Like instead of using the motion controls, like he said, is like, oh, what if I do like this triple wall jump into a butt stomp, whatever, like he was coming up with ways that it seemed like they did not necessarily intend to get around.
Yeah, because like you can throw the hat out, jump off of it, and then do a forward dive that has a lot of momentum on it. And I started getting better at that last night and started using that to get places that it seemed like it felt like I was cheating in a way. I was like, man, this is like way easier to just get around this way. So it seems like there's some element of like you can kind of figure out which combination of those moves you're comfortable with and use a lot of them.
Yeah.
Have you beaten it?
No, not yet.
Yeah, because I'm at Bowser's Castle, and from what I understand, the end game's supposed to be crazy, and like that's what everybody's saying. Like, I don't want to spoil it, so I haven't looked into it.
Yeah.
But like I haven't used the hat thing yet, because I remember in like when they were showing previews and they throw your hat and jump to the hat and jump. I was like, oh man, that seems like a lot to start getting. I haven't had to do it yet. I'm like, okay, cool.
You definitely don't have to do it. But
it gets to a point where I was kind of forced to use most of the moves.
Yeah.
A little, not too far after where you're.
Okay.
at.
Okay.
Did you finish it?
I'm close. I think. I can't know for sure, but it seems like endgame place. But then again, I only have like 190 moons, and there's like
what is it, like 900 or something?
I don't know. It's
insane. It's a whole lot.
So I have a lot to do when I'm done with this game.
Like I don't know what the post game kind of rewards there are, but does it seem like something where you guys would want to get every single thing?
No, I don't know that I will get every single thing.
I totally
might.
Dan did, but he's like a crazy Nintendo fan.
Yeah.
For me, I think it's just the fact that it's going to be such a great playing game, right?
Yeah.
Like, okay, cool. I've beaten the
Yeah.
story of Mario. Now I'm going to get back to Wolfenstein. Now I'm going to Platinum Destiny. Now I'm going to do whatever the hell else I want to do. But then it'll always be, man, I got 15 minutes.
Yeah.
Let's just,
Get a
let's
couple
just-
away
yeah,
a
let's
little
just go
bit.
get it. Yeah, let's see
Yeah.
what's going on.
Yeah, I could see that. Like maybe eventually I get
Yeah.
there, but it's not. I don't see myself.
I'm in no rush. I'm
Yeah,
not-
exactly.
yeah.
Yeah. I'm not going to play it the way Dan did for a review.
Yeah.
Which is bonkers.
I would say on the flight to E3 2018, I'm still trying to get a moon or two.
Yeah. But yeah, it's just it's tremendous.
Yeah, it's that, and that's I can't. Usually, is it playing to a genre? Is it playing to a crowd? Is it? I'm a Sega kid, born and raised. So like, I didn't. My first like Mario, like on my own Nintendo, was an N64, right? Like,
Yeah.
I eventually bought a SNES just to play through World because it was great. But like, I don't have that like nostalgic attachment to Mario really. And like, I play this game, it's just like I'm smiling. I'm caught off guard by how great it's so charming. It's everything everybody said positively about it. It is.
But also, there's just like there's some real nightmares in that game. We talk about Wolfenstein having some dark moments, but have you seen the Diddy Kong costume?
What? Oh no!
Holy shit!
I mean, I saw the Waluigi costume, which was bad enough.
I mean,
but-
yeah, that's a problem on its own.
Also, one more thing I want to say about Mario is the boss designs are actually really good. Like
Are they?
some of the best platforming
Okay.
boss. Like eventually, they start out pretty simple, but
Yeah, they're simple as hell.
It totally breaks out the like 3-hit stereotype
Okay.
of what you imagine a Mario boss to
Yeah.
be. Because there's like, I mean, a lot of times they're in patterns of threes,
Yeah.
but they make you do a lot of different stuff. And then there's also just stuff that I totally didn't expect. Like there's one boss fight I don't want to spoil, but it just kind of comes out of no. Bowser shows up with an ally.
Yeah, I did it last night, and I'm playing it, and I was like, holy shit,
Yeah.
this is awesome.
It just comes out of nowhere, and they totally nailed it.
yeah, 100%.
So full of moments like that. I'm really excited to see what like the last bosses are like.
Yeah. That's what I'm back to now. Like I'm glad that I finished Wolfenstein. It's amazing in a lot of ways, but like it was cool to say like, okay, there's some side stuff I could go do in Wolfenstein now if I wanted to, but now I'm just gonna get back to Mario. And
Is not to just dive right back into Wolfenstein, but is that stuff worth doing? Like I sort of read about some weird structure late game that opens up that I haven't seen yet.
There's some stuff that opens up kind of later on, or
Yeah.
about maybe like half-ish way through, where you can start to do some side stuff. But really, that's I don't get the impression that is like that there's a lot of story stuff there per se, and really it's a way for you to revisit areas to pick up weapon upgrades and stuff that you missed.
Okay.
You can kind of go back to
with like what
existing areas with something new to do.
slightly less, or
Yeah.
slightly different to do.
Yeah. And kind of get back in there and do some stuff. But yeah, like I had forgotten. So like my playthrough of that game, like there's stuff that they showed at E3 that I did not experience playing Wolfenstein.
Huh.
And I realized it's because they have make that. I was talking to Austin about it because he had also finished it, and I was
Wait,
like,
did he go Wyatt?
I don't know what he did.
Okay.
I did actually now that you mention it, and there was like I was like, wait, did they just like cut that? And then he said, oh, I think it's on the other playthrough. I was like, I'd forgotten completely that there was
kind of shocked that they stuck with that because they basically had to make 2 versions of almost every cutscene in the game,
right
based on who you saved in the first game.
Yeah, and I wonder. I mean, also, well, I don't know. Maybe the third game will probably have to do the same thing.
Okay.
Ooh.
In terms of like, hey, what did you do?
Yeah.
And so there are ways to get out of that if they want to just like make it easier on themselves next time out.
That's kind of what I expected out of
but-
this one, but they have you pick which choice you made in the first game at the beginning of this one, and then run with it.
And yeah, you're having very specific conversations with them.
Totally,
Yeah,
like,
definitely.
There's
Like,
some
it's-
like crazy. I have Fergus,
Mhm.
and
Yeah.
there's some pretty wild tension between him and another character in my playthrough that I assume would totally not exist
Right.
on the other side. So
Yeah.
it's a weird choice.
It's cool. I mean,
it's
like I kind of like. It's hard though because I don't necessarily want to go back and start a fresh playthrough of this game, but I would really like to know what those differences are.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Maybe I'll just watch that stuff or something. But like that, I'd be interested to see how that stuff manifests.
Yeah.
If you go the other way.
Yeah. Do you guys even have time to play anything else? You guys want to take a break, think about it, maybe come back,
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
and then reconvene? All right, we'll be right back. And we're back,
We are.
and the devil is in the details.
That's right.
Over here.
Yeah.
A lot of rings in Mario Odyssey.
Yeah. Yeah. A lot of rings to jump through.
Yeah.
His gallivanting around the Olympics. Is Greg up? I still don't hear.
Oh, I don't know.
I wasn't here.
There he is.
Yeah, there he is.
You missed some
all the
grade 8
mics are moved
commentary.
over one than when they normally are. Just normally on two.
I'm always on 3. This is always mic 3.
I don't know.
All right.
Oh, it's different from the studio.
It is.
Okay.
This is different from the other studio.
Yes.
Yeah.
Studio starts on 2. We start on 3. It's very complicated, guys. You need a lot of production training to be able to.
There's a lot of math and numbers involved.
Now that's a trick or treat.
And here's a treat.
God, Brad.
Any other games?
You guys got any other games you want to talk about?
I've been playing this fucking nightmarish. It doesn't even work anymore. It barely works. This trivia game for iOS.
Oh, HQ.
Yeah.
We're going to talk about HQ. I dug my old iPhone 5 out of a drawer so I could play fucking HQ.
Wait, why are you guys playing? What happened? Playing classic iPhone games over here?
No,
it's on right now.
Yeah, it just started. They do a game at noon and a game at 6. So remember 1 versus 100 for the Xbox 360? It's kind of that.
Okay.
Or at least it's live in the same way that is.
Yeah.
And it is a trivia app where they give away cash prizes, and you basically load it up at noon Pacific or 6 p.m. Pacific, and a dude comes on your phone screen.
Like full screen.
Okay.
Like he's just right there.
And he tells a bunch of a lot of shitty jokes.
Yeah, he's a real shit-eating.
I don't know. I like him.
Stand-up comedian in a suit.
No,
he's self-aware enough to know that he's shitty.
You think?
Because he just sees the flood of comments, and so you have to have a level of like self-awareness to.
Well, we don't know that he
to
can
lean
see.
into the dad joke.
Well, he calls people out.
Oh, does he?
Yeah,
Okay.
They
I've only played
since
a
it's
couple
live,
times.
they will kind of mention some people by name here and there. But even that, I wonder how real that is.
A
Anyway,
whole game. It's only 12 questions. What is it?
yeah, it's 12
10
questions,
less than
and
10 maybe 10
if you're in at the end, you get a cut of some cash, I guess.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. But then they
You
just
retired on this?
Oh yeah,
This the plan? Okay.
The one game I finished and saw through, I think 43 people won.
Yeah.
Or something. So they all got about $5.43 each.
Nice.
And I've been playing this thing for a few, I don't know, 3 weeks now or something like that, and I feel like I'm already tapering off of it, but I kept forgetting to talk about it every week.
Yeah.
So I at least wanted to mention it.
You get in that 2500 game?
No.
I'm
always driving when the evening game is on.
I think I got like 7 out of 10. I made it pretty far. I was. Is it technically cheating if I'm with another person who's helping me answer the question?
No.
Okay.
Is this? That's a good question too. Is there unspoken rule we're not going to use the internet?
The timer
is very fast,
like
and
5 seconds or less?
some of the questions are asked in a way that they would at least be difficult to research in that time
and
frame.
to Google in 2 seconds.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. Though they're having a case. There were 1 or 2 cases where I was able to Google the answer.
You
very
cheating
quickly.
son of a bitch.
Hey, it's cash money.
Yeah.
All right?
People.
I want to win this $12 or whatever.
It sounds like the prequel to Nerve with Emma Roberts. You see that movie?
Yes. Yeah. Now you're talking.
People love to drop the answers in the chat. And usually, with the lag and everything, you've got maybe a second or two of seeing the answer start scrolling by sometimes.
But the harder ones, like people will generally try. The mass of the answers will probably be the correct one, but as it gets harder and harder,
you can very quickly. You can't trust.
Anyway, like the trivia part, like whatever. They ramp the question difficulty up in such a way to where you either have to be lucky or crazy to know all 12 and get money at the end. The fascinating thing to me is like the tech of like. Yeah. It's this weird, like 1 versus 100 felt like this crazy futuristic thing. This also, like, it comes on your screen and it's like, here's this guy standing there I assume he's in an apartment in New York somewhere, just wearing a suit jacket and no pants.
Our production
against a green screen. Like it
looks decent.
It's
just
what
like
it
a green
is.
screen
like
guy.
it's lit well, and he's wearing a suit jacket.
It sounds like one day they're just going to ask you, like, all right, now kids, go into your parents' wallet and grab all the green stuff.
It's the founder. It's one of the founders of Vine.
Okay.
So they've probably got some money. And yeah, so they found some stand-up comedians around New York, I guess, to kind of host this thing.
Mike Drucker somehow involved.
Yeah,
I'm
Drucker
sure.
somehow probably will end up on and hosting it someday.
Is it
that
always,
would be way better.
Is it always Scott unless something goes wrong? Or
There was another.
Do they rotate?
There was a woman who was doing it for a while, and then so as more people have been talking about this thing, it has blown up in a way that has broken it.
So that's my favorite thing about it is watching it break and then seeing how they deal with it.
And yeah, so like they'll be like 20 minutes late for a game, or like they have a countdown, and sometimes the countdown will just expire, and it'll just cut to this video that just says technical difficulties. And you just envisioned Scott, the host, being like cattle prodded out of his cage. Put the suit jacket on, it's time. and that sort of thing. But it sounds like they're just having trouble scaling as they're getting like now 25,000 people in a game.
I like that. That's what you jump to. I imagine him walking off camera to like a PC tower that's in smoke.
Yeah, no, for me it's like that they are literally like forcing him to do this.
How many more of these games do I have to host before he let me see my family?
We broke him. We got to get the guest host in because he's too.
There was that day last week when they were like 45 minutes late or something, and then when they finally got on, it was a British lady who very clearly not a stand-up comedian.
Yeah,
like she did a fine job, but it was like very much like
Scott's passed out in the corner.
Let's get through these questions. I'm just going to read through these.
Yeah,
like
just 40 minutes of someone going, can you stand in front of this and ask me questions? Yes or no? Yes or no?
How many animal tranquilizers did you give Scott?
Too many, apparently.
It's like the best part of the game is imagining what kind of chaos is happening behind the scenes.
Yeah, which is probably not as exciting as it seems. But
hey guys, server's down.
Yeah.
Crap.
Fuck.
All right, well, let's try to get it fixed.
All right. Well, spin up more capacity. Fucking AWS. It's broken again.
I wonder where they're going to go with it, or like how they make money off of it. What they turn it into.
The very first question, and I thought at first this was how they're going to make money off of it. And then I saw something a couple of weeks later that made me realize that maybe not. Is they had a question that was literally like, which one of these websites is known for this, this, and this? And it was it was Product Hunt was the answer, and I was like, oh, is Product Hunt paying them to? Are they writing questions about sponsors? And is that how they monetize? Sure. But then like 2 days later, a big article appeared in Product Hunt. So it was clear that instead of that, it was actually maybe even more insidious, where like they were like, oh, they're doing an article about us, we should write something about them. Vice's Waypoint.zone talked about HQ not that long ago, and then suddenly found themselves an answer to a question.
So Scott, if you're listening,
no,
Giant Bomb loves
stay away, Scott. We don't want your filthy.
God damn it. I want your filthy.
Oh
no, not Scott's.
Kind of funny. I'll take it. Go ahead.
Yeah. It's an interesting thing that feels futuristic in a weird way of just like, oh, it's noon. Everyone, let's hands on phones. Yeah. Let's check this thing out. The same way that I used to feel about 1 versus 100.
Like so much of life on the internet these days, it feels like something out of a slightly satirical film about the future.
Yeah. Yes.
Except it's real life.
Right
now. So.
Watch live and you can get your daily rations if you answer all these questions correctly.
Totally.
Last year, did Greg Canessa come around and talk about Sparkade? Did you take that demo or appointment or whatever?
No.
When I got approached, like, whatever. And they're like, it's Tetris. We know you love Tetris. I was like, all right. And I looked at it and I was like, wait, I'm playing Tetris for money against other people on this thing?
Yeah, I remember.
And I was addicted. I put it on my Giant Bomb list actually last year. Yeah. I played it for like 6 months. And it was just that thing of like, I'd put in $5 and then I still haven't ever cashed out, but I think I'm up to like $55 of just like playing Tetris. And like, it's a good interface.
Like
and you have
beating
a
people
system.
with Tetris to take their money.
Yeah, exactly. You're leveling up. You know what I mean? It was like, but to me, it was what you're talking about of a future thing. Right. It's like, oh man, like this is a mobile game that isn't annoying me with ads and isn't just a cash grab in terms of like it's a cheap cash in. People actually care. They're cultivating these games. There's other players out there that are good. It's like, this is a weird world where I'm like, I want to play an online game. Here's fucking Tetris. I want to play some Tetris on the phone.
Yeah, that's a weird. It's gone a weird way with that stuff. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I last Friday on the way, or Thursday, Friday on the way home on the bus. I happened to be on the bus at the time of the evening game, and because I don't have a SIM card in my iPhone, which is the only, it doesn't run on Android yet.
Right.
Tethered the iPhone to my Android phone that does have cell service. I was sitting here watching a live video of a man in a suit in Brooklyn or wherever.
Yeah.
Read me trivia questions from a phone tethered to another phone.
Yeah, that's a weird one.
Getting internet from this, like it's just
the future.
Yeah.
What are we doing?
Yeah.
It's a really neat execution of the idea. I think that they're onto something. But yeah, I guess like if you do decide to play it, just know that like they seem to be having heinous capacity issues. And
what's
games,
it called again?
HQ.
HQ.
And games will start like 20 minutes late and stuff like that. Yeah. And so just get Scott out of the cage 20 minutes early next time, and then you won't have these problems.
If they had Chris Cashman, I doubt that they would be
exactly. If they had a classic. Also, my other problem is I feel like there are multiple questions that they got wrong.
Ooh.
Which when you've got money on the line, that's rough. There was a question about like how many people played James Bond that they were either if they were right, it was because they like worded the question very specifically in a way that sort of sucks, but it read like they just Wikipedia'd it and got it wrong,
miscounted or something.
And there was another one about like licensed players in the first like baseball video game that they were wrong, and one of the wrong answers that they had was also a better wrong answer than the one that they had chosen, and it was the last question. So it was like, hey, people won and lost money based on something that was wrong.
Hey man, they got to write 24 trivia questions a day. What kind of standards do you expect?
I guess with that in mind, I guess you're right. It's so don't go in taking it super seriously because it's kind of a mess.
Yeah, you're not gonna put yourself through college on it.
No,
it's more of an experience.
It's a fun mess.
Yeah, it's a neat dumb thing.
It's a fun mess.
Is there an entry fee?
No.
Okay.
No.
So this is free money you could be winning right now.
Exactly. And my understanding is they just PayPal it to you. I don't know.
They come to your house.
Yeah.
Give you a big
No,
cardboard check.
do not bring that man to my home. I don't want to be near him.
You don't want to hang out with Scott?
No.
Yeah.
Sounds like a bad all-nighter.
Yeah.
Everyone's in the bathroom solving the world's problems.
I bet. With their keys.
Yeah.
You guys got any other games you want to talk about before we move on?
Oh, before the onslaught of games came, or maybe even the middle when I wanted a break, I got through episode 2 of Life is Strange Before the Storm.
Okay. Are they doing is that a 5-parter?
3.
A 3?
It's 3 parts,
Oh,
and then it's got
okay.
the 4th bonus episode. If you bought the deluxe edition, that's your farewell to Max or whatever. That got
weird-
into.
yeah.
It was this huge brouhaha because then that one was originally gated for the platinum trophy / 1,000 achievements. So they flipped their shit about that.
Yeah.
And then they were like, "All right, fine, we'll fix it," and they fixed it in the patch.
And that's a lead-in straight to the
There's a prequel,
first
to
series?
Life is Strange. Yeah.
How is that thing?
The prequel?
Yeah.
It has no business being as good as it is.
Like, in the
Like,
context of, is it
mean,
better
like-
than the first
Well,
one?
I
or-
mean, like, who was asking for this?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Did you guys life?
I think people really wanted more Life is
Yeah,
Strange, but
yeah.
like the way they delivered it sounded like it was a lesser product than. And for people who did like the first thing, it felt like this was like, oh, it's a prequel and it's not really the same thing.
That was the big one for me. Was it seemed like people were skeptical because it was a different studio.
Deck 9 was doing
Yeah.
it, sure. Well, you
Yeah.
figure, I mean, like on paper, right? It's a prequel where you're playing as Chloe. Chloe doesn't have any powers. Your original voice actress for Chloe that made you love Chloe isn't Chloe
There's
anymore.
also that, yeah.
Max isn't in this at all.
Yeah.
Different development. You're just like going down this. It's 3 episodes instead of 5, which makes it sound like a Telltale insert
like they
between
just
Walking
tossed it
Dead
off.
seasons,
Yeah.
and it's just like, all right, what the hell are you gonna get?
Yeah.
And then like you get it and you play through it, and they do a better job of establishing the relationships and giving you choices with consequences that matter, make they feel like they matter more, unlike any of these games, right? In the way that, the deal with Life is Strange, the original season, was you could rewind time.
Yeah.
So if you did something horrible, you rewind. Oh, the dog's dead. I rewind time. The dog's not dead, and we make a different choice and we have it play out. Whereas here, you don't kill the dog. But if like something like that happens, right, you live with that choice. And I've done the thing where I go down the road and I'm arguing and I'm like, oh man, I really fucking broke my mom's heart, and I wouldn't have played that way if I knew that's where I was going to. But that's where it is, and now I live with that consequence, and now I keep playing with the game.
Yeah, because I'm trying to remember in the first Life is Strange, like, or in that set of episodes, like you could rewind it, but like there were kind of gates where like once you made certain decisions,
you were very much
like,
rewinding it for
was-
puzzle solving, right?
Right,
That was
yeah.
the gameplay, which is why when this one came out, it was this thing of like, so now it's just me being a 13-year-old girl going through, and
Finally, my dream.
exactly. But it's that thing of like, well, where is the game here? And
Yeah.
to get into it and see the way they've done it in episode 1. No, you guys didn't play episode 1 either, right?
Of the prequel stuff, no.
Yeah. Episode 1, they have this fantastic sequence where you can totally not do it or whatever, but you walk over and talk to these people at a picnic table and they're playing D&D. And like, do you want to play? And you're like, yeah, sure, why not? And you jump in and you play with these kids, and like, it's just them doing slow pans in like different camera angles on the figs on the drawn out board.
Yeah.
But like the DM's narrating it and all, and it's like, it's this awesome epic thing where you
that's
really
cool.
get into and like, I'm really making the choices and wanting to see what's happening, do all these different things. And then episode 2, this is spoilers, but I want to make sure I give you a reason to go play it or something, right? At the end of it, like through hook or crook, right? Rachel Amber, who's your friend in this one, right, is in Tempest, and one of the players can't play. And so they're like, hey, you need to do this part. So here's your script. Or you need to do the part. And there's a blackout, and you come back and you're in the costume. And then on the stage thing or the dressing room table is the script. And I picked it up and looked at it, and it's page after page, and the lines are highlighted.
Yeah.
And it's like, do they want me to, am I gonna have to like, and like, sure enough, you go out on stage and you have to pick the line, and like the scene plays out differently. And it is this thing of, I very much in that moment didn't want to fuck this up for my friend Rachel. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
I'm
right.
like, you've been training really hard for this,
Yeah.
and then there's a payoff to that, and then they're really good with cliffhangers at the end, and it's one of those things that I'm like, I like Life is Strange. I don't know if I wanted to go back in time and see this thing. I thought the story should have stood on its own. But playing this, it's like, wow, not only am I enjoying this thoroughly? I'm feeling more, I guess not respect, but I'm understanding Chloe more.
Yeah.
Whereas the kid
Like
in the
more
first game,
connection to the
she was
characters
like,
and-
oh, I got blue hair. I say hello a lot. I'm a punk. And like, all
Just
right.
like me.
But like there's yeah, just like you.
Yeah.
But in episode 1 even like you know, you have this moment where you kind of like lose it and you're running around smashing stuff in this junkyard and you turn a corner and there's this scene there that is like extremely powerful, and the way she handles it and what she does in it, it was like holy shit. Like it's really really well done.
That's cool. Did you just take pictures of the script with your phone?
Yep, 100%. I 1000% did. When I put it together, that's what I did. I was like, I don't want to screw this up for her. I don't know the Tempest well enough to go out there and act this one.
Of course.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you feel like Telltale is getting kind of out Telltaled at this point?
I
by
mean,
stuff like that. Do you play a lot of?
Oh, yeah.
Like the modern kind of version, the modern like conception of adventure games.
Yeah, I do. I like them a lot. I like that story narrative. Here's my choices. Let's see how this, choose your own adventure book. That's
Right.
what I like a lot.
Yeah.
And so I think that, Life is Strange and Before the Storm is doing that. I think it's giving you better connections to it. And it's not having, at least for me, the technical hiccups that Telltale
Actually, I guess
inevitably
that's
does.
probably
That's
the
the
biggest weakness they have,
Right.
right?
It's,
Because I don't
stuff
hear-
that they kind of. Well, I guess I haven't played any Telltale game in kind of a while, but so it's a little secondhand at this point. But it just seems like they had problems back when they first got off the ground with like technical issues and stuff like that. With even just going back to season 1 of Walking Dead, and a lot of them just seem to never get fixed.
100%.
And that's crazy.
Well, yeah, I mean, you figure like you want to talk about and this sounds stupid, but stick with me. Like a developer blowing up overnight, right? Like I distinctly remember going to Comic-Con 2008 and seeing Sam and Max or whatever at the Telltale card table pushed up against the wall where they had one monitor that, and it was I was talking to whoever their PR guy was at the time, and like when Walking Dead hits and suddenly everybody comes at them, I think the problem was they just got on this trajectory of like, well, now we have Walking Dead and now we have the Fables and now we have Marvel
It's
and
like
now
they
we
had
have
like 4
DC.
things running at the same time.
And it's like, when do you have time?
I want to say because they're based up near where I live, and I want to say they changed offices as they were going through that initial blow up of like, oh, we're suddenly way bigger.
Yeah.
And then I want to say they ended up moving again, like within a year or something, to a different place because they just like kept growing.
Yeah, they keep expanding in the place they are now.
Right.
They keep taking over floors. Like, and I want to say they're 200 plus now, maybe even up with 300. 200 plus for sure.
Huge.
Yeah.
And it is that thing of just like, you can look back and see what happened. Is that they just got all these deals and started signing them, which is great, but at no point did anybody say, hey, how are we going to pump the brakes to get the
like no one stopped. So like, hey, we've got some tech debt building up here. Can we like just stop for 6 months and just clean this up?
And it's
like,
definitely that thing where, as somebody who's played them as much as I've played them and for as long as I've played them, I see the improvements, but it's always incremental. And then inevitably, something still breaks. Like Batman Season 1, for me, and this is always the problem with any Telltale game, for me, ran really well until Episode 5, where I had a guy run by with no face, where I had 3 hard crashes in the final boss fights. Yeah, exactly.
No
Old
face.
invisible no face man.
Old no face.
Of course. But then it still is that thing where Batman in particular, they do so much interesting stuff with Batman where they really do adopt, all right, this is our world, we're going to do these different choices. Like, did you play nobody played season 1 of Batman?
No.
Like, it is that like Tom and Martha Wayne, are always angels. They're always these sanctimonious figures, right?
Sure.
In this game, they are bad people. They were running the criminal empire. They were a part of that. Bruce Wayne's fortune is built on this. I'm spoiling this whole game. You should have played it by now. Vicky Vale is like the bad guy. She's Lady Arkham, and she's been leading this. They introduce Joker as John Doe, and he's not bad. He's definitely unhinged a bit in Arkham, but he identifies Bruce as a friend, and now that whole storyline is season 2.
That's interesting.
And it is this thing of like being in the moment, playing as Bruce or Batman, and John Doe's there. The way I'm handling him is there is good in you. Like, how can we get to the point where I don't? Because like in my season 1, Two-Face never became Two-Face. He had a psychotic break and got really crazy, but he never had the burned off face because of a choice I made.
Yeah.
And so this is
That's
the game where it's like, I love that they play with that. I love that they're killing people. Like Riddler got killed, but he was also from a way back villain and all this different stuff. They are in their hands-on doing different stuff and doing cool things, but then there's the technical glitch, or it's a little bit too stiff, or there's that.
How much do you think you're getting out of the interactivity of it versus? Because I mean, obviously there are a billion different Batman timelines over the years. Yeah. Like they've addressed the character from so many different angles. Like if someone was just like, hey, we're doing a series of books where we are delving into what became your specific storyline.
Sure.
Do you think that would be as good for you?
Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's the thing is like I don't feel like It's the same thing as with all the choice-based games, where we're all getting to the, we start at one point, we bell out, we come back to the same ending for the most part.
Yeah.
And so this is that. I'm enjoying what I'm playing. I'm enjoying making the choices. I do sit there and debate in my head, and that's where these games really come down to. When I used to review The Walking Dead for IGN, that was always the thing people would yell at me about. Not yell, but there is no. It's the illusion of choice, and it's this, that, and the other. And what I always said was, for me, The Walking Dead, and any Telltale game for that matter now, is a coloring book page. And we all have the same picture. It's just how we shade it is different. And I look at yours and you look at mine, I'm like, oh, why did you do that? And why did you choose this? So in season 1, there's this pivotal moment of, Penguin's about to smash Harvey Dent with this light, and Catwoman's about to get attacked by guys with guns. And it's like, who do you save? And it was this moment of fuck, this game's crazy enough where they might kill one of these people. But I did the debate of well, at this point, Harvey's just a politician. He is my best friend, and he doesn't know what he's in for. Whereas Catwoman and Selena, they know what they're doing. So I'm gonna go save Harvey. He's the innocent in this situation, which then branched it, but it didn't. She got shot in the arm, and that's where Two-Face didn't become Two-Face. But
the choices feel impactful at the time, but then when you look back on it, you're like, well,
exactly. I'm gonna still end up there, right? And it's the same thing where it's I did a couple different Let's Plays for season 2, episode 1. And it's Alfred pops up with an eye patch. I'm like, I don't remember what choice led to that, or you know what I mean. Bruce got part of his ear missing, and it's like, all right, that's not what. But it's still, I remember fondly playing those games and the story they told, and the interesting things they do around it. But I think it is so much easier for the Life is Strange brand, right, to be like, hey, here's this season we knocked out of the park.
Right.
Here's this new thing we want to tell, and not have it be, hey, all right, cool. We're also working on Batman and Guardians and Walking Dead season 3, and we just came off Walking Dead season 2.
So there's a Minecraft game or two.
Minecraft is still happening.
Stuff.
Right, yeah, and what the Wolf Among Us, they're gonna get back to it someday.
Exactly.
Just ask them.
Yeah.
Be like, we're working on it.
Yeah.
Game of Thrones.
Oh right,
man.
I think I'll come back to that one anytime soon.
Yeah.
Man.
So people are. I think certain games do out Telltale. I think Life is Strange is probably one of them, but I think it's the benefit of having one thing to worry about and not have to go crazy with it.
Did you play any of the King's Quest revival?
No.
Oh, dude.
Should I?
I think it's really good. Yeah.
Okay.
I think so. It's in that vein. It's very much choice and dialogue based.
Okay.
It's super well written. It's pretty funny, actually. You guys want to talk about some news?
Sure.
Yes.
All right. Let's talk about some news.
Just
got a criminal down here running the production.
Yeah. Music burglar, more like.
Is he still looking for him?
That's okay.
You're just gonna have to hum the music.
Here, he's giving the 1 second thing.
All
Got it.
All right, Brad, do your perfect segue again.
You guys want to talk about news? That's okay. We're all imagining it right now.
He's still no. All right. Let's talk about the news.
It's
Hey,
Halloween.
Paris Games Week is happening.
Ghosts in the Machine.
Oh man,
What?
This is some news now. Officially.
Also, we missed what you've been playing.
It's okay.
I wasn't gonna say anything.
I didn't
everyone
even
at home who's mad.
There it is.
Hey. All right. Let's talk about
All right.
Wolfenstein. Wait.
And now it's time for the news.
Okay.
Greg, I'm sure you watched all the Paris Games Week stuff.
I did.
Yesterday.
I assume you did too.
Yes.
Yep.
We came in here bright and early and streamed it.
Way too early.
We streamed over a stream.
Yep.
Yeah.
As we do.
Our stream. We
Yes.
streamed over your stream.
It was a picture of me and Tim, and then picture
We
you
were
guys.
just like, well, I don't know. He seems like he's into this game, but I don't know.
Just commentating your reactions.
I can't see the game well enough, but Greg seems to be having a great time.
Yep. I've got a gigantic list of everything they announced here. I guess let's just whip through the whole thing real fast, point by point. Guacamelee 2.
Yeah.
Woo, which kind of unexpected, but that's cool.
Yeah. That's
The first game was neat.
Yeah, that's the perfect kind of announcement for what they did here, where they were like, hey, the pre-show does matter.
Yeah.
Come watch the
Right.
pre-show. We're announcing 21 game updates and 7 new things.
Yeah.
And then, Drinkbox has been so great with PlayStation that it's cool that they were there to do.
Yeah.
They got out ahead and even started giving numbers about how many updates and all this other stuff for the indie and VR stuff.
Yep.
I couldn't help but crack up, though. And they're like, we have more than 20 announcements for game updates. And
Yeah.
then they showed 21. I'm like, all right. Just say you have 21 game updates.
Yep. Loco Roco 2 is coming to PS4, just like the first one did.
Which is super exciting because that gives us hope for Patapon 2.
Sure,
Or Patapon 2 remastered.
Yeah.
Because we don't want to get greedy here.
If we get there, then that's great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like Loco Roco 2, I like that game a lot, but the remaster of Loco Roco 1 was enough for me to like reconnect with it and go, beautiful.
Yeah.
What a cool game. It's great to see it at a higher resolution. Like, I don't know that I'm going out and buying Loco Roco 2 remaster.
Yeah.
It's just an interesting proposition of like, where are they going with this? Because
Right.
when I thought, Loco Roco and Patapon, are we testing the waters to see if we need a new one or seeing what the sales are going to be? And like,
Right.
just another remaster. Okay,
Just doing this stuff, I
they're gonna
guess.
keep coming. All right.
I bet once that work is done, it's not that much trouble to. Or, it's fairly trivial
maybe not,
probably
maybe
to
not.
get the next one out.
Does that mean we'll get an Jammer Lammy remastered?
Oh, I hope
You
so.
can only hope. Yeah.
Not with how Parappa came, like the timing windows and the way Parappa played.
But Lammy always played better, didn't it?
It's
From what I
still
remember,
the same
is
basic idea, though. And anyway, you want to like unlock the Parappa mode in that game anyway.
Yeah, that's true. They showed the Hong Kong Massacre, which apparently had been shown before at some
Yeah,
point.
okay.
It was new to me.
Yeah,
I thought it looked awesome, right?
Yeah,
Yeah, it looks cool.
got like an overhead Max Payne.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Bullet times.
Yeah, a little
John Woo
John
film.
Woo type
Yeah.
stuff. Yeah.
They showed the Final Fantasy 15 DLC coming out in December.
Fishing.
Yeah.
No, the
fishing
fishing is
is
a
a separate
standalone,
thing.
separate
Fishing is
thing.
the
Oh, you're talking about
This
the
is-
Ignis episode? Ignis.
Episode
thing
Ignis.
is the I don't know, man.
just like-
Fucking.
It's like filling in part of the story, chapter 9.
Wait, I thought that was going to be. So, is it a free add-on?
Wait a minute.
I thought that because when the game came out and people were complaining about like some missing information or like the story felt like it jumped a little bit. I thought they
Oh
said
no,
like
that was that's not.
that's
this.
chapter
Oh,
13.
that's something else.
Weren't they redesigning chapter 13? I thought.
Yeah.
Well, no, that was the one that was really hard that they had to change because it was too
Okay.
much bullshit. Like I said during the stream yesterday, we're people who know a lot about Final
Expert
Fantasy.
us
Final
anything.
Fantasy.
Ask us anything about Final Fantasy 15.
Ask me anything about Final Fantasy Mystic Quest.
$5.
That's not a question, but okay, I'll take it.
$5?
It's good. Final Fantasy Mystic Quest is good. Fuck all you people that don't like it.
$5 for this DLC.
Okay.
Is what I am seeing.
All right.
I think that's
Radical.
right.
I did not play Final Fantasy 15. I am not interested in DLC for it.
Yeah.
But sure. The
I
fishing
I played a
thing.
little bit. I came in and I was like, all right, yeah, still not my kind of game. See ya.
Yeah. Like they made a different kind of not my kind of game this time around. We're like, oh, it's kind of action. Oh, but not enough not to be a good action game.
Yeah.
Huh.
Why are these guys wearing so much leather in the desert?
Yeah.
Ugh,
Bold.
but it smells terrible.
No, they're from a world where it's just the smell doesn't happen. The chocobos, they're the ones that stink.
Yes.
And the car, weirdly enough, just emits a stench.
That's what it's powered by.
Mm-hmm. Powered by
Yo.
stink.
They showed a new tennis game.
Yeah.
Tennis games are back.
Tennis.
anyone?
Wait,
Tennis
I'm trying to
World
think,
Tour.
like what was the last non-VR tennis game? Because like a couple of tennis games came out for like Vive and some of that other stuff, and a bunch of Pong games. But like,
Was it virtual?
When
Virtual
was the
tennis?
Might
last
have-
Virtua Tennis?
yeah, and that was
4?
like a 360 game.
Virtua Tennis
When they
4,
when they put
right?
this up there, I was like, damn, this a couple months ago we had a kid write in who was just like, what happened to all the tennis
Right,
games? And
yeah.
you're like, you know what? Yeah,
Yeah,
there
you're
used
right.
to be like
There-
4 every year.
Yeah, and it dried up. So I have enjoyed some tennis games in my time, but yeah, they dried up. So it's cool to see them kind of coming back.
I'm looking at a Polygon story. Tennis World Tour is being developed as a spiritual successor to 2K Games' Topspin franchise
Okay.
by people who worked on that series.
Oh, all right.
So there you go. Tennis.
I would rather see the like Camelot clap hands take
Hot
on
Shots tennis,
Hot
yes.
Shots tennis. I'd rather see something that was a little more kind of fun first.
Sure.
Did you play
Then-
everybody's golf?
Yeah. Yeah,
Fun,
it's
right?
really good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Are they done with Mario sports games? Has that fallen out of favor?
They're never done.
I mean, not done, but it's been
They're
a
still
while,
doing
right?
Olympic games.
Yeah,
games,
but it's been a
right.
while since like a Strikers or a tennis or
Strikers came to 3DS, I think.
And,
Okay,
no, and
right.
there was on Wii U.
what was
Yeah.
it?
While
Oh, I
we've
thought
done
they-
kind of funny, that there was
Yeah.
Mario Tennis.
There was some
Smash.
kind of like Mario Sports Superstars for 3DS that was like a little like kind of a few different sports games.
Mario Tennis 64 is a hell of a game.
Yeah,
I
it
like
is.
that a
It
lot.
really
Yeah.
is.
They announced a ton of VR stuff that I won't dig too deeply into here, but like they're still putting money against VR stuff.
Yeah.
Like surprisingly.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
went
like
and played a bunch of it yesterday at the San
Oh, yeah?
Francisco event.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. And Blood and Truth was actually really cool.
Cool.
Like that's the one.
Which one was that?
London Studios. It's the basically.
the
it looks
Crime
like
Caper.
it's
Looks
like
the
It's
Getaway.
not the Getaway.
Yeah, exactly. It's Getaway meets Taken meets
Yeah.
a James Bond film from
Yeah.
the trailer, right? And that's how it played too. Where I was watching from, I'm like, all right, it looks cool, but then you put on the set in there, and it's like actually running over to the gambling tables and setting the C4 and hitting all buttons was cool. But the best moment was I'm sitting there, I'm shooting, I'm leaning back, I'm refilling the gun. I'm like, all right, I'm doing all this stuff. And I came over the top, and this dude threw a grenade, and it landed on the roulette table. And like, second nature, I grabbed it and threw it back at him. And I was like, wow, that was fucking cool.
That's cool.
Like, that was actually really fun.
That's the best VR shit is when you react to something and it works.
It's an honest reaction. It does it acts the way it should.
Like
act.
subconsciously just do something.
Yeah.
and
that's cool.
so few games I feel like get that actually right, or the things you do that seem like they should be second nature that they don't allow, or they don't account for.
Yeah, that's the thing. So like Blood and Truth, I was impressed with the trailer, and then playing it, I am impressed. And I was telling you, like, I want to play it, but it's always that mental hurdle of like, I gotta set up this damn VR thing and do all this stuff.
Yeah.
I think I will.
It's a lot of work
because it was cool, and I loved the getaway games. And this does seem like it's doing the same thing, where it's like at one point at the end, I'm interrogating the guy, which they show a little bit in the trailer. Yeah. But you look to the like your choices for dialogue are on the left or right, and it's like, let me help you or whatever. And it's like, talk or I'll fucking kill you. And you like do that. And then they say the similar line, and at any point you could shoot him. And like, so like they shot him in the leg of the trailer, but like while he's explaining, I shot him in the head. And I was like, oh fuck, all right.
Guess I don't know the answer to that question.
Bye.
Like,
You know what I mean? Like, I want to see more of it.
Yeah. That's fun. I think we were talking before. Like I'm in the same boat with a lot of VR stuff, especially PlayStation VR, which we have had nothing but problems with. Yeah. And just like this all looks neat, and I don't see myself like wanting to play a long game in VR.
And so that's the interesting thing, right? Blood and Truth, I can see myself playing. Impatient, Supermassive Games, prequel to Until Dawn or whatever.
Yeah, man.
I played that there too, and that was very much one of those, it's a horror game, right? So it's doing the jump scares and all that stuff.
Did they show that on the stream?
Maybe really briefly. It's been announced for a while.
Okay.
And it's coming out November 21st. It was that thing where the movement, like I'm in the chair getting wheeled around. I'm very slowly moving around my room.
Yeah.
It didn't have like locomotion. It didn't feel fun. Where Blood and Truth was very much like, I want to go there, point there. There's a million little spots to point and hit the move button, and I run to automatically. Yeah, and then you can strafe in like doorways because you're shooting. It was It felt like since like Resident Evil 7, the first VR game that I'm like, oh, this feels like a full-fledged game I'm in for.
And stuff like taking cover in VR in a shooter is another thing that feels really natural, and I think like is adds another dimension to a shooter that can be really cool. And I think a lot of games haven't done it all that well, but like there was a demo that came out when the Vive launched for a game called Budget Cuts. And it's a stealth game. So you're kind of like teleporting around, but also it's very much like I've got these throwing knives and there's these robots walking these routes, and I can kind of look around a corner and kind of peek out and throw something at them. And that feeling, or Hover Junkers, which was a game that you're kind of like in a little hovercraft, and you can duck and hide behind cover.
Yeah.
And it was that feeling of like, oh, this feels very realistic and natural. Like I inherently know what to do. I want to hide when they're trying to shoot me. I want to shoot them when they're not hiding. Or in the case of like Hover Junkers, that was actually a great moment where you're piloting a ship that has cover. So you're kind of like flying around. So I flew up, crashed into a guy who was in cover, and I just reached over the cover and just shot down at him. And it was like, that was a lot like your grenade moment, I think, of just like, this is the natural thing to do. And you realize after the fact, that's fucking badass.
Yeah.
What just happened right there.
I mean, it makes you realize how what an artificial construct most video games are.
Yeah,
because it's like you've got like three very like arbitrary mechanical options at any given time, whereas in VR, it's like if you can physically do the thing, you might.
And it creates that uncanny valley
Yeah.
effect for VR, where like you can do so many things or you can think of so many things that when a lot of them don't work.
Yep.
You're like, oh man, that sucks.
And that was the thing here, right? Like I was doing the video game thing of like I'm taking cover on the roulette table, and I'm like peeking around the corner, but I can see their heads running over. And so finally I'm sitting on a couch, or sitting on the couch like comfortably. I did the thing of like blind fire, but like an educated blind fire, not video game blind fire.
Right,
whatever,
right.
And it's like, oh fuck, and I got him. It's like,
Yeah.
damn, when this works, this is so cool.
Yeah, definitely. That stuff. The thing I'll say about Sony though is that like they're funding and they're putting out games that are not always like just here's the stuff that already came out on PC.
Yeah.
So you're
They're
seeing,
trying, right? Yeah.
So
And also
you're
not
seeing
just a bunch of shooting galleries. I mean, there was that horror game where you seem kind of like mostly blind and you kind of use sound.
Yeah, that's out.
Stifled. Stifled's out today.
Yeah, that's out.
There was I don't know if you mentioned that game that was a little Hover Junkers-esque, where you're sort of piloting like a steampunk ship.
Bow of
Blood.
Well, yeah, maybe that's right.
Where
yeah.
you're like kind
Bow
of
of
pulling a bunch of
Blood.
levers and activating systems on your ship and stuff. Like they're at least kind of stretching their wings a little bit.
Yeah.
With ideas in VR.
It seemed like they showed some neat stuff.
And that's the thing is like it's nice to see them actually doing this.
Yeah.
Because that was the concern leading up to it. All right, cool. You're doing
Yeah,
this.
yeah.
Is this PlayStation Move again?
Yeah.
Is this Vita again? And like you'd hear them say, Shuhei or whoever you talk to about it, like, no, we really believe in this. We're trying. We're gonna do this.
Because we did just cross the year mark.
And they were like, it's gonna be Gen 1. Like this is PlayStation 1 to PlayStation 4. Like we're not there yet with this tech. And I've been impressed with public reaction to it and then the way Sony's handling it. Because when we were leading up to it, I was very much like, if you're buying this, like understand what you're getting. You're getting demos. You're getting a demo headset and blah blah. And our audience was like, who's PlayStation focused, was very much like, bought it and don't regret it. Cool. And then like when Andrew House gave a pretty honest at the time Andrew House in charge of PlayStation time, gave a pretty honest interview with like Business Insider or whatever, where he's like, yeah, we crushed sales, and I was one of the people saying we shouldn't order more of these, and I was wrong, so we're going to. And then but then it was like E3 comes around and there isn't a giant PlayStation VR segment, and you're like, what does it mean?
Well, I feel like a lot of the tone of like PlayStation's kind of public face has changed so much over the last even just the last year. But then you see Andy House getting out of there and then some other stuff. Like, oh man.
I mean, like they had it so right.
Yeah,
they had it so right for where we are, and then they started going back to PlayStation of old, right?
Yeah,
where it was like PS3. Teeth kicked in. We're a corporation. You'll $599 US. You'll get a second job.
Yeah.
They had to recover so hard for that. And when we get to the launch of PlayStation 4, and it is Shuhei Yoshida's here, and he's having fun, and here's how you share a game with Adam Boyes, and Mark Cerny comes out and he's like, hey, basically, we fucked up with the PS3 and the cell processor. This is a PC. It's going to be easy to make games.
Developers like it. We like it. Everything's going to be fine.
Gio Corsi comes out and he's like, here's the Vita, and I love it, and and it was like, and then it was like
hockey jerseys for everybody.
2 E3s ago, right? Where it was just like trailer for AAA, and everybody's like, what's happening? Are they going back to what they were?
And you look at it and you know what's happening. You look at it and go, oh, someone lost some fights.
Also, there's an orchestra there.
Yeah.
It's like, this is a little bit of a throwback.
Yeah, so I think that left me with a lot of questions about PlayStation VR's future in terms of like, are they going to support it? I think they're definitely like past the move mark.
Yeah,
as low as that bar
totally.
is. And we'll see how it does. Like there's a part of me like they're putting out, or I guess, is it out or is it coming out? The updated headset that will.
It's not out yet.
It's not out yet. Okay, with the it's supposed to be just. Hey, it's just going to pass HDR through, which as I bought a 4K TV, so that's useful for me.
Well, yeah. Well, I mean, the PlayStation 4 Pro, it's great for VR, and then it's like, oh, it doesn't do the thing. Well, you got to you got to take a picture of it.
So as soon as I realized I was going to need to like disconnect all this stuff anytime I want, or unhook and rehook, I was like, fuck this. Like I'm not going to do this. So at least now that they're bridging that gap, I kind of want to give it another shot, and also see if if maybe they're not talking about some other changes to it. Because like I said, we had tons of problems both at our homes and here in the office, just like number of different lighting conditions. And some people had similar problems. Some people were like, you guys are assholes. You're wrong. And it's like, okay, well.
On the internet?
Yeah.
People are saying they're being meany on the internet?
It's weird. When you talk about a tech support or tech-related issue on the internet, every piece of feedback you get is really useful.
Well, it's also, everyone who's responding, they're experts. They know it all.
It's every single member of the Geek Squad is there to remind you to like, hey, if you come into a Best Buy, I can help you out, but also you're wrong, fuck off. I'm like, great.
Thanks guys.
Thanks. It's really useful.
I enjoy. I was telling you yesterday, after I was on the way home, like, man, that was fun. Why don't I play more PlayStation VR? And I'm like, all right, because it's just not hooked up. And I'm like, I gotta we have a guest room. I gotta get that set back up and just have it standing there to go in there and play whatever 15 minutes of VR game I want to play. Yeah,
I figure I'm maybe a month away from kind of cleaning up the room that I was playing a lot of Oculus stuff in to the point where I could play VR at home again. But it just hasn't been a priority. Like,
and there's so many other games.
Yeah, exactly.
Right?
Like the games I've tried in VR are like there's some cool stuff that I would like to see more of, but so much of it is like stuff I might want to look at for 10 minutes that it's hard to then like oh well, now I'm going to spend the time to set all this back up, because we set it all back up in the studio. We're getting ready to record more VR stuff here.
Yeah,
and it was good to have it set up. Be like, okay, now it's set up. Now let's just never touch it again to make sure that it is always set up. But then I have not been back in there to see like, oh, what's new on the Rift store or anything like that. So
like, last one I got excited for was Special Delivery on PlayStation VR.
Oh,
that thing looked like Paperboy. I was like,
Yeah.
all right, that could be cool. And I played it, and I was like, fuck,
Yeah.
god damn it, throw it down. Like, why'd I even bother?
Yeah. No, like I think I have not touched a PlayStation VR maybe since launch. At least our own, like the ones that we got sent. Like I don't know that I've spent a lot of time with those things. Like I meant to play Farpoint, and then just got to the thing of like, I just gotta set all this stuff back up. I'm like,
And Farpoint was cool. Like,
Yeah.
I played we did a stream for, I think I did that first hour or something like that. And it was
Yeah.
like, all right, cool. But it wasn't cool enough for me to go home and want to play it again.
right.
I
Yeah.
played through the whole thing because the story was interesting, but not because the VR aspect of it was
Right.
especially mind-blowing. It was a very simple shooter.
Yeah. And yeah, I mean, we'll talk a little bit more about some VR news with CCP.
Yes.
I guess.
Yes. Let's see. What else was it? Sony. I think this happened on the pre-show. They did the fun like, hey, here is a game you've never seen before. Also, it's coming out today.
Oh, yeah.
Thing with a game called Ore,
Array.
which looks very similar to like a Journey, Abzu
Flying
type
kind
of. I think the Sony panel even used like mentioned Journey and
they
Abzu.
did mention Journey.
Yeah, I think
multiple
Holly
times.
immediately did, yeah.
Yeah.
That looks cool.
Bad name.
Yeah.
If I look at the name and I can't
like,
pronounce
okay,
it.
go get Ore, and you're like, what? How do I even? Is it
O-U,
apostrophe? Yeah.
And then that pre-show wrapped up with easily the biggest news of the entire morning, which is that they're making another Spelunky.
Yes.
What?
That's a weird thing. I would not have expected them to ever make a sequel to
Yeah.
Spelunky.
Especially
And-
because Mossmouth just announced like a handful of months ago that they're doing a different game.
Right.
As of right now. UFO 50 is that
Yeah,
the
UFO
name?
Yeah,
50.
yeah, that collection
I
of them.
really want to see what Spelunky 2 ends up being.
Yeah,
'cause
they didn't show any
It
of
looks
it.
like an
They showed a bunch of-
emotional roller
Yeah,
coaster.
right.
So you seem to be the child of the Spelunker.
Who is dead.
Yes, who's
Well,
it is
maybe,
implied has passed
or
away.
is he trapped in the mine
Yeah,
somewhere?
Maybe
He's
Yama's got
trapped.
him.
Yeah.
Yama came back for his.
Yeah.
Yeah, Yama gets his.
No real details on what it is other than another Spelunky.
Yeah.
They should make a
said it was-
Spelunky 1.5 where you're playing as Yama going into his house, stealing him.
Yeah. They went on to say later, separately from the Sony thing, that it's like PS4 and Steam first.
Yeah.
And yeah, so that's crazy. I would say like that is probably the biggest news, but that Sucker Punch game is right up there too.
That's true. I mean, like people have been kind of scratching their heads, going, "Is Sucker Punch still a thing? What are they doing?" Because
They've been quiet forever.
Yeah, they've been
3 years, 3.5
Yeah,
years
well,
since
into
there was
Second
Son,
Son. Well, they did that
The
First Light.
First Light thing was
That
kind of
was-
like the
Well, I think later that's still it's been like 3 years since we've heard from them.
right.
And yeah, Sucker Punch is still around and making games. They're making Ghost of Tsushima.
What'd you think of the trailer?
I think it looked cool.
Yeah.
I think I could do with a good samurai game. It doesn't necessarily speak to what type of game it is.
Yeah.
It's open world, so
yeah.
I'm trying to find where I saw
That was my, like, as you look for it, like, Tim's been yelling about and wanting a new Onimusha forever.
Right.
And so, like,
I did
when
have a
it's
moment
going,
early
I was
on where I
like,
was like, hang on.
are they doing this?
Like-
And then my thought process was, that'd be great for Tim. I didn't like Onimusha that much.
Yeah, but they motion captured a horse.
Yeah, I know. Right? Thank goodness for that.
Yeah.
But then the more and more that trailer went on, and like I really thought, like, I assumed the villain who's talking of just like,
Right.
what were you doing while you were training? What was I doing? I was learning, and I was like, this guy sounds really cool. And but then it was like our chat was like, it's Bushido Blade or whatever, and I was like,
no.
all right, whatever. Like that. What kind of game is it gonna end up being that I'd care about? And then it was like quiet, and then Sucker Punch logo, and I freaked out because I'm a huge Infamous fan. I love Sucker Punch's games.
I have
Yeah.
a synopsis
Lay it on me,
right here in front of me.
Brad.
So it is open world. The pitch they give is the year is 1274. Samurai warriors are the legendary defenders of Japan until the fearsome Mongol Empire invades the island of Tsushima, wreaking havoc and conquering the local population. As one of the last surviving samurai, you rise from the ashes to fight back. But honorable tactics won't lead you to victory. You must move beyond your samurai traditions to forge a new way of fighting, the way of the ghost, as you wage an unconventional war for the freedom of Japan.
So you're like half samurai, half ninja.
Sounds something like
Finally.
that? Yeah.
The perfect warrior.
Action.
It's a lichen. It's like it's basically the story of Underworld, but instead of werewolves and Draculas, it's
Based on that, like that
sounds
trailer
cool.
and that
Sounds
elevator
cool.
pitch and
And
Sucker Punch's pedigree. Yeah, all right, cool. Let's
There's
do
that
it.
part at the end of the trailer. He runs up and throws a smoke bomb at the horse and then kills the guy on the horse.
Yeah, that's a good unconventional tactic that some might find dishonorable.
Yeah.
No, that's fucking awesome. Like that.
Sucker Punch has made a couple of good open world games before.
Yeah.
So that sounds
They know what they're
promising.
doing.
And
for
they've like that last Infamous game was like gorgeous.
Yeah.
That was a great
Yeah.
showpiece for the PlayStation 4 at the
Yeah.
time, and so like they know their shit. So
Yes.
yeah.
They announced a super cool looking game called Concrete Genie,
Yes.
which
Yeah.
I'm still not 100% clear. There's some graffiti aspects to it, but it might also be a platformer.
It looks like it's like puzzle solving, right?
Right.
Like I'm drawing
Yeah.
things on the wall that then come to life and move me around.
Yeah, it seems like you'll have some control over what you're putting, how you're getting up.
Yeah.
Whether it's wheat pasting, one color throw ups, two color throw ups.
Yeah, you're choosing the monster you're making. I like the kid does look exactly like Delson Rowe from Infamous.
I totally was thinking that when I was like, wait a minute, is that the
graffiti in
Infamous guy?
Also, real quick, I'm not crazy. You turned your cape inside out while we were off air?
I don't know what you're talking about, man.
Okay, all right.
Maybe it was inside out before and I fixed it.
Oh.
You know, who could say?
It can go either way.
Yeah.
Now you look like the devil before a little bit of Dracula.
Very,
I said something.
very devilish move. I don't see who's making. Oh, Pixel Opus.
Pixel Opus.
An in-house Sony studio.
They made.
They made Entwined.
That's the one.
Right.
That's
yeah. Oh, yeah. That was cool.
Speaking of two-colored,
Right.
something.
Yeah.
Games that, and also speaking of games that released when they were announced.
Yeah.
Right.
That was PSX, right? Where
Yeah.
It's out
like,
now.
hey, it's out now.
Yeah. They showed a trailer for Curse of Osiris, the first Destiny 2 DLC,
Cheer.
which is exactly what it was rumored to be
Right.
via leaks.
Yeah.
Set on Mercury
December 5th.
with robots.
Um,
Sure, I'll play more Destiny.
More Destiny? Yeah.
yeah,
Okay, cool.
they should put out more Destiny
Yeah.
because it turns out
We played
used all the Destiny up.
We played the Destiny that there is. Showed off some more Monster Hunter World that's getting a beta in December, and
Aloy.
the lady from Horizon Zero Dawn is playable in the game.
That makes sense. That's a smart crossover.
Yeah.
Yeah.
With a robot cat.
Mm-hmm.
Showed a little bit more Spider-Man. Not a whole lot of news there.
What'd you think?
I think it looks.
CG or
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
It's
No,
all
no, no,
story,
no.
right?
Well, that
Yeah.
was my thing. Is like
Of course, they showed the game at
me and
E3.
Tim were talking about this afterwards in the post show. Just the fact of like, I don't know if it's the juxtaposition of being up against like these photorealistic games or whatever, but like something about the art style is like, that seems weird. Something doesn't
Little bit.
click right now. I'm sure when I'm invested in the world for 30
Right,
hours,
yeah.
you know what I
Well,
mean?
you
Spider-Man.
see just like a smidge of it, and it's all story stuff.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh well, looks like a video game story, like cutscene.
I like the smattering of like actually seeing MJ and Miles and Peter together and Aunt May.
It seems like that's an interesting thing to do story wise.
Yeah.
Like they're at least like posing a lot of things for people to ask questions about.
Yeah.
And the gameplay stuff they showed back at E3 looked interesting.
Yeah.
I'm
excited. I like Spider-Man.
The Codemasters is making a new, and I guess Deep Silver is involved.
Yeah,
They
they're
have a
publishing.
new racing game called Onrush.
So this is
Motorstorm devs.
Yeah,
right?
the Motorstorm, which I was kind of like into the look of this thing, and then I remembered like I really just never liked any of the Motorstorm games. So as soon as someone said like, "Oh, it's X Evolution or X Motorstorm," I'm like, "Ah, shit, damn it!"
Yeah, the trailer. Tim loved the trailer. And I was
Yeah,
like, all right.
yeah,
Looks interesting.
Yeah, like they're just no one's making arcade style racing games anymore.
Another genre,
Yeah.
right? That was
Yeah.
it was everybody's in, and then everybody was
Right.
out. You know, so where
It
the hell
just
did this
just
go?
became like, oh, here's Forza and Gran Turismo,
Yeah.
and like Need for Speed whenever they feel like they can put one out.
Yeah.
And it all dried up. So
Yeah.
it's cool to see something else that's not. It's not just dirt. It's not just another like dirt game. It's not another Colin McRae or
Gotta bring
whatever.
fuel back, you know?
Yeah, yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, let's get serious. Split Second 2.
Oh yeah, there we go.
Talk about video games.
Smuggler's Run. Come on, Rockstar.
Yeah, follow up to Blur.
us.
I mean, oh, whatever. Like, there's a follow up to Smuggler's Run inside GTA.
Yeah, I know,
Online at this
right?
point,
They called it that too. It's
Yeah.
like, all right.
Dirty.
They showed just a little more God of War. Not a ton.
Yeah.
That was
Cool.
a very quick demo, actually.
Like, I remain interested in that game,
yeah.
but I don't feel like what they showed was like I think it looked fine, but I didn't come out of that.
Whoa, I gotta play
Yeah,
that.
it was
now.
just like, oh, okay, you showed a little bit more of that, and it kind of looked plain.
That's definitely one of the games
Uh,
where it's just like stop talking about it.
Yeah,
Like,
yes.
yeah. I think
it's-
just
you've sold me.
they've
I
shown it
hated
enough
Kratos
times.
and all the other God of
yeah.
Wars. He seems like he's actually got a dimension here.
right.
Yeah.
I'm
There's
interested to see what you're
there's
gonna do.
intrigue to the character and the interaction with the son. Like they built that already.
Yeah.
Showing more of it doesn't help.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You just ruin it when I get to play it.
Right.
I get it. You don't touch him after he kills the deer. Jeez.
Yeah.
There was an extended sequence from Detroit Become Human.
The internet's on fire.
That
about
kind
it.
of got people talking.
Yeah.
I don't care about David Cage's games. I barely did when people hadn't necessarily figured out that he was bad at telling stories.
Yeah.
But at this point, yeah, I don't know. Like all that stuff sounds mechanically interesting. Like
Yeah.
the storytelling stuff, the same way like something like Life is Strange would.
Yep.
It's like, okay, well, it's fun to see these stories play out in a ton of different ways, and I get to keep going even though I failed. Like that's interesting, but I feel like they've shown their hand too many times in previous games where it's impossible to believe that this will be any different.
Yeah.
And so then the reason why people get mad is because, like, oh, now you're just taking on increasingly edgy subject matter that seems way out of your depth
that's
as
what
a creator.
The sensitive nature of the subjects that they are taking on is increasing.
And you're just like, okay, so now you're going to have this incredibly ham-fisted approach to this topic that is like a really fucked up thing.
That's right. He thinks I'm not dealing in heavy enough social commentary.
Yeah, like heavier rain.
Yeah,
Heavier Rain.
Heavier Rain is a really good subtitle for this game.
I'm stoked for it. I like Heavy Rain a lot. Beyond did not. I mean, Beyond.
Yeah, Beyond.
No, come on, now that was a train wreck. But
yeah, for people that didn't watch the trailer, in addition to issues of like, android servitude, and class and so on, they are now adding like domestic and child abuse to the list of issues that this game covers. So.
Which you can find a way puzzling out of that. Like whatever, games should tackle heavy subjects.
Totally. And like Wolfenstein is a great example of a game that does it really well, but I'm not convinced.
Like at some point, I like the idea of David Cage taking on murder mysteries and that sort of stuff, because that can like come across as hokey and still work. Yeah. Right? I mean, Heavy Rain, I think,
because like Heavy Rain was about a serial killer and like a
origami killer.
A near future police investigation. Like it was a little corny, but it was fine for that.
Like to have this game come out and have the feeling of it be like, and now we're gonna get real with you with this robot story. It just like comes across as like I don't trust you to handle this subject
I
matter.
wonder how much of it is though just the window we're getting into it.
Maybe.
Like when you sit down to play the entire thing, because like the game isn't about child abuse or this abusive father.
Sure,
it's
right.
and this is I think maybe why so many people are upset about it is the fact that this is just a catalyst to show why your AI breaks from being an AI and becomes a human in the way of like, wait, no, I care about this person. I'm going to break protocols to go save this kid. Yeah. Or get involved at least.
So then they end up taking this serious thing and kind of just using it as a foil for their other story, which is maybe weird in its own way. I understand why people are worried. It's a tightrope to walk. And how do you do it and how do you handle it? But I don't know. Like for me personally, before I saw anything on Twitter, because mainly for me it's been this morning when I saw a whole bunch of people like, oh, what's going on? Like, oh, why are people talking about David Cage all of a sudden? Yeah. It was like I watched that demo and I thought, oh man, that looks really cool, and I do want to see how everything plays out. But I get to speak from the place of I haven't ever been abused, so I understand why. For me, looking at that, I'm like, oh, this is an interesting thing. In the same way, I watch a Law and Order SVU, and I've never been sexually assaulted, so I am just like, oh man, how is Benson going to crack this case? You know? I think like on the surface, like the game they're making is interesting, and as the tech evolves along with stuff like Life is Strange, like okay, let's have all these choices and be able to map those choices through an evolving narrative and have them matter or not matter, as the case may be. Like I think it's cool that we're getting there and getting deeper and deeper into that stuff. I just at some point, I think it just came down to stuff like Beyond.
Yeah, people have baggage with David Cage, regardless, right?
Yeah,
based on not even
he traffics in baggage, honestly.
He'll say things in interviews that get under people's skin that then get them
and
upset.
now like I feel like that is now when it comes time to now we're going to make this game that tackles these like much headier issues. Yeah. You're like, oh, well, but you've kind of been a clown with this stuff in interviews and the way you've handled some of this stuff in past games. Like, you have not.
You don't have the goodwill.
Yeah,
you don't have
not
faith.
earned the faith.
Naughty Dog gets to toy with those issues in Last of Us, right? Even part one, and people are like, well,
that
Naughty Dog storytellers, we know.
That said, speaking of games that had contentious showings removed from the context of the games, they showed an incredibly brutal Last of Us 2 trailer at the end of the presentation that also has people talking. Yeah, quite a bit.
They love the arms on the woman. I saw.
What's that?
Everyone loves the arms on the woman.
Yeah,
she's jacked. Everybody keeps saying.
Yeah, I guess so. Oh, I thought.
Not the woman who gets her arm hit with a hammer. No.
The other lady and her arms.
Who we assume is Ellie's mom. Her arm.
Is that the assumption?
That's the assumption right now. Because like that crazy woman or whatever. I haven't gone back to rewatch it to get the dialogue, but she puts the knife to her belly and says something about getting like the evil out of you or something like that to that effect.
Wait, is this not just a direct sequel? I thought this
was it's a sequel based on what we know, but you assume flashbacks. Or
because what they've previously shown of the game is like, okay, here's older Ellie.
Older Ellie, and like she's gonna go back and kill them all. So I mean, you assume, right, that if I'm spitballing a story off the top of my head, like she finds a journal, she finds more notes from her mother, and it turns out that her father had been killed by this woman, or that's where these people. Because it's clearly, or I shouldn't say clearly. If I'm reading this correctly, we're just watching from what I watch and jump to the conclusions of, right? Like when the other woman who gets her arm broken runs in and she's like, clip her wings. Sounds like a Firefly reference to me, right? So they're starting the Fireflies, they're doing all this different stuff.
I mean, Naughty Dog is a good example of a studio that has earned its storytelling chops. Like they have given every indication they can handle stuff like that.
But the outrage here was how brutal it was.
It was just relentless and gratuitous.
I think
in a way that I was just.
I think it ends up like
put off by.
Like there are pieces in there to extract, and yeah, you can go like, oh well, maybe this is the start of the Fireflies, and maybe this is Ellie's mom. Maybe we go here. But like on its face, you look at it and just go like, here's a bunch of polygonal characters fucking each other up in a completely context-free way.
Yeah.
Where you're just like, people liked The Last of Us because they cared about the characters.
Yeah.
Like having this sequence of just here's someone getting their arm fucking smashed up and stabbed in the stomach
directly after another character is being hung with from a noose. Like,
you're
it's
like,
just
okay, like I guess like that. It's just. I am not a gigantic Last of Us fan, so I don't have the outrage of just like this. These are not how I want to see the characters or whatever. But I just look at it and go like, this seems like a bad way to service the existing fans of this thing. Like whoever made this trailer probably should have stopped and thought like, what's a thing we could show that people might actually want to see.
Interesting.
Instead of just like. Yeah, it's just like here's people fucking each other up. Like that came off like here's a survival horror game that we're announcing.
Yeah,
not like here's the sequel to The Last of Us.
Yeah, like I saw people referring to it as torture porn, which I feel like
not
is
in a way
not that far off.
Not in a way that I think led to. I mean, yeah, you're right. There are things to pull out of it. If you're doing a close read, but I feel like for a lot of people, you watch that, you don't come out of that going like, now I really want to know more about The Last of Us 2. Instead, it's like, oh, here was this survival horror game. Like, what is this game now? Is it going to be like a straight up murder simulator type shit of like Resident Evil style thing? Or, and the answer is like almost certainly not.
No, not at all. No.
But
what you're saying is interesting, right? Because again, I think I came in, or at the end when they showed Last, because for me, the bigger thing was this is starting and I'm like, is this Days Gone? Is this Last of Us?
Right.
Is this Days Gone? Is
and then you look at it and go like, this looks way too good to be Days Gone.
That's what that was pretty much what it came down to when the faces started animating. Right. But I think it's the context of knowing what the Last of Us universe is, right? And the fact that they showcase Last of Us original, right? The VGA trailer or Game Over trailer drops or whatever, and it's just Joel and Ellie, clicker in the face, shoot it, and it was like, oh, that's brutal, but it wasn't like that.
Yeah.
And it wasn't until I remember going to see the first preview event, and when I came back and they wouldn't give us footage of it, I did a video where I acted out like Joel getting choked, then grabbing the guy and slamming his neck down onto a piece of glass, right?
Yeah.
And like that, the brutality and horrific nature of that world is a huge part of Last of Us.
Yeah.
But they didn't put it out as a centerpiece in the beginning to be like, this is what it is.
Yeah.
Whereas this, they're expecting you to know
like,
that, hey, the world still sucks.
Is this supposed to be a tone piece for the game? Like, oh, by the way, this is the thing we're showing you up front, so get ready for...
Yeah.
Like I'm just not even fucking looking for that right
now. Well, yeah,
so.
like call it a consequence of the age that we're living in, but like I'm kind of starting to lose my taste for relentless dystopias where everything is dark and only getting darker, and there's no sign of hope. Like you're talking about, like Wolfenstein
it ends
is
up being the tightrope of Wolfenstein of like they do traffic in hope.
Yeah, totally.
Like enough of it to where you go like, oh yeah, we're fighting the fight, and it's the good fight, and
there's still comedy and levity in that, right?
Exactly. Yeah. And so it can be lighthearted while dealing with this like heavy subject matter. Where then I saw someone, in the wake of that trailer getting out there. There were people saying like, oh, well, Neil Druckmann has said that the central theme to this game is hate. And I'm like, good.
Yeah. That's exactly what I need.
That's what we need in 2017.
Totally.
And that's what's going to be fascinating about it, right? Is that in Last of Us 1, Ellie was the kid. She was there to have fun. She wanted Joel to play guitar. And watching their relationship evolve, that was the hope you had there. The hope also that she was going to be able to cure humanity and do these different things. From the 2 trailers they've shown, go back to the first one, right, of her sitting there playing the guitar, right, and coming in and she's like, I'm going to kill them all, or whatever she says. And Joel says, like, be careful, kiddo. Like, clearly she's on a mission of hate. So what is her counterbalance now in this game? Does she get paired up with somebody? Because I still fall in the thing that Joel's going to be around a very short time, if at all, in that game, right? I think it was still his ghost or whatever that came in there at the end.
Yeah, I tend to think that's probably the right way to go.
Yeah, and then if you get into flashbacks and deal with that one.
Yeah. So obviously, like, a clip pulled out of a game, a much larger game, but I think it's the wrong clip to pull.
Interesting. Yeah. I can see that.
The just
wrong trailer, not necessarily the wrong game, because like I said, they have certainly proven multiple
And that was the
times.
thing. Like, it finished for me, and I was like, oh, it's
tastefully.
brutal, but I already knew that the world was fucked up in Last of Us. Do I need to see that? I was interested to see who these new characters are, but
it didn't leave me wanting, who are these characters?
Exactly.
What are their stories?
Exactly.
It's just like, all right, fucking beat people with a hammer, I guess. Thanks.
Sucker Punch's trailer was way more effective at me thinking about it throughout the day.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes, good. We've come to some conclusions.
And that was the Sony stuff. It was a pretty good lineup. I mean, for a show that they have not had a huge presence at in the past.
Sure.
They went pretty hard.
Yeah, I feel like backlash on the internet, because the internet's always mad in general.
Sure.
The problem here was it was just a misstep to be like, it's E3 part 2, because they were making a big deal of like E3 was just the beginning.
Definitely not.
And it was I read that as, they're going to give dates, because they made such a big deal of everything we showed at E3 that had a 2018 on the trailer.
Oh, right.
That's going to come in the first half of the year. So I was like, here we go. God of War date, Spider-Man date. We're going to get some actual things. And you didn't. You just got more trailers for these games, which is cool. But it does not advance anything. Yeah. When you market it as it's going to be this huge thing, you're like, everyone had expectations that I don't think they need.
I think you look at it and go like, there is a lineup there, but you kind of knew that already. And in a lot of ways, this then, they announced a lot of smaller games here that you would see at a PSX.
What is PSX this year, right? That's the thing is it's always been, is Sony stretching themselves too thin with, E3, some kind of presence, whether it be Gamescom or Paris Games Week, depending on the year, and then PSX. And they've done really good before of no, it's E3 and it's PSX. Yeah. And now they really did just come out and go, bah, here's all this stuff. And it's like, what the fuck's PSX now?
You have to imagine, I wonder if they're looking at it and going hey, guess what? Our closest competition in the console space is launching a console and no games.
Yeah.
So let's just pull all the games into this week, the week before this thing comes out, and remind everyone.
That's a great point.
Here's a zillion games.
Yeah.
And those games aren't coming out anytime soon. A lot of them are going to be next holiday or whatever, but they're at least out there continuing to push that effort of just software.
And then the question becomes, right, going back to our former point that we were talking about with the Tale of Two Sonys, right, in terms of PlayStation 4.
Yeah.
What does that do at PSX then? If PSX is just hey, everybody, you saw we had at Paris Games Week, let's show you more games and play stuff, is the community feel like they're no longer being served by this event? Because this became the event where it was Gio Corsi going
exactly
and Vita and everybody going wah.
Yeah, if they cannibalized that for this, I think
for a
that's
marketing moment,
did
they sacrifice community? Exactly.
Yeah, I think that's a mistake with the goodwill that they've built up around PSX because that keynote has been good.
Yeah,
it's been they've been bringing stuff over and you go these are some unexpected twists and turns from a company that you wouldn't think had it in them to do things hey, we're going to get up on a stage and say the words Yakuza. Fuck, all right, cool.
Who loves Shenmue?
Right, yeah, no one.
It was also cool because it was always I don't know about this year, but it was the last event of the Capcom Cup tournament series. And so they had a big Street Fighter tournament there and did a lot of fan stuff there with them and did some announcements. I think it's where they announced Marvel versus Capcom last year.
Yeah.
So at some point, you have to wonder if PSX just becomes the show floor and the event and panels and stuff. You've done panels there.
If they keep doing that stuff, I don't think the people that physically go to it are going to feel shortchanged.
Maybe not.
Won't I hope not. I bet there's got to be a percentage that do though, because it is this is their E3. We're going there and we get to go to a conference, and it's not about press, and it's not about access.
I will say though,
E3 is kind of that too.
If they have PSX and don't do a keynote or something like that. It will be the event will be invisible to the outside world.
Yeah, that's true.
Because that's the only thing that would get streamed and noticed and matter. So if it just becomes we've got a stage set up and our community team is here doing interviews, that's not going to get the word out about whatever they do have to say. Yeah. If there is in fact anything left to say.
Yeah. It's gonna be interesting.
Yeah,
it's coming up quick.
It's weird. Yeah, that is very soon.
It's a month.
Yeah, 1 month.
Jeez, everything's happening.
Yeah,
the year's almost over.
I know.
What the hell.
It's November tomorrow.
Dude, what?
It's
that you just made it sink in. I was holy shit.
Someone asked me a question about E3 last week. I was like, fuck you.
Yeah. I cannot have this conversation.
You ever stop and divide your life up by console launches?
A little bit.
You ever thought about that?
Yeah. At some point it became which website.
Yeah, that too.
But now that those times are equalizing, that's not going to be effective past another year or so. So yeah, I don't know.
Anyway,
happy Halloween.
Yeah.
Life is an endless
ghoulish.
trek.
Yeah.
Jason Schreier did a fucking massive piece of reporting on the closure of Visceral Games.
Yeah.
Late last week, Friday. That's when he ran this story. It is exhaustive.
It's great.
But gets into a ton of detail. He talked to some number of anonymous sources inside Visceral, I think people
formerly inside Visceral,
but also people he described as sort of tangential to
Like people at other EA studios that would kind of know the politics.
One of the first things he says in this thing is that the studio had been bleeding talent or he had been hearing for like 2 years from people at other studios that people at Visceral were like constantly on the hunt for jobs outside of Visceral. But the picture he paints could not be more bleak for the production of that game, and also really makes it sound like the deck was just massively stacked against that group of people from the get-go.
Yeah.
Starts basically after Dead Space 3 failed to hit its projections, and then the studio kind of got split up, and a bunch of people got put onto Battlefield Hardline.
Yeah,
which sounds like that was a big blow to morale. Amy Hennig comes along. I mean, we could spend the rest of this podcast going through.
I feel like that was. I remember when they announced Battlefield Hardline, and it was like Visceral up there talking about Battlefield Hardline.
Yeah,
like it was a Judges Week event before E3. And before they had announced the game, I think.
Yeah.
And they were about to roll their beta out or whatever. And they had the head of the studio up there talking about it. And even in his initial, it had this desperate like cry for help. Well, that's maybe a little extreme. But he said like, we had a game we were working on. We felt pretty good about it. We had these design docs coming along and we were like pretty psyched. And then Battlefield Hardline came along, and now like kind of not in that dramatic fashion, but literally.
Well, I'm surprised they mentioned they had another game.
Dude, yeah, like it was like it was one of those look around the room moments of just like, dude, what?
His note cards like have messages on the back.
Right. Yeah.
That's
it
wild.
felt like that kind of cry for help. But it then directly pivoted into, and we're very excited about Battlefield Hardline.
Yeah, that whole situation is described in the story. That project was codenamed Jamaica, and it was a pirate game.
Yeah.
Fuck.
And this story very much paints that scenario as like studio management came in and basically said, yeah, if the studio is going to survive, we have to make this Battlefield game.
Yeah.
And people were not thrilled about it. Anyway, like it's just step by step. It's a story of never having enough people, having grand ambitions largely driven by EA management saying like, oh, you've got to have a hook for this thing. Like you've got to make this bigger than just an Uncharted, but never having the people to realize it. Like always being on the verge of getting more help from other EA studios and then having that pulled out from under them over and over. Just like Amy Hennig being used to a certain way of working that didn't necessarily mesh with the studio. Like just
her trying to take on everything too.
Yeah.
She's the narrative director of Naughty Dog. And she had people like Bruce being game director. But here they talk about like she didn't trust those people, so she was trying to do everything.
Yeah. Just point after point after point. Like sounds like they never had the resources or the time or the support to do what they wanted to do.
That sounds like everyone in a tough spot. From like you said, from the start.
Because it seemed like people were, when that studio was closed, people were looking at that announcement going like, oh, it really seems like that game wasn't coming together. But it seems like it's easy to go like, what the hell have they been doing for the last 3 years? But like this paints a pretty clear picture of why they didn't necessarily have a lot to show.
Yeah. Yeah.
It sucks. I mean, for a million reasons, you know what I mean? But it's like, for these people's jobs, for as cool as an Amy Star Wars game would have been, because that's what they all the really heartbreaking part in terms of, well, that's a shitty thing to say, people lost their jobs, but one of the heartbreaking parts in here, right, as a fan, as a player, is the fact that there's one of like the guys like, this was the coolest shit I ever read when he talks about the story.
That's like the one thing that people that spoke to him are not ambivalent about is that the story that she had written for this was like fascinating, and they were 1,000% on board with it. It sounds cool. Like it's about like crime syndicates, like a criminal family,
smugglers and all this,
like smugglers and stuff. I mean but like they tie like the destruction of Alderaan into it. Like it's like basically happens directly in the wake of that. Like it sounded like a pretty interesting direction to go with this thing.
And it's crazy that like, I mean, I think from the outside looking in and even reading this, just the fact that EA couldn't make Star Wars work. Like these two brands you'd expect to be off to the races and ready to go.
The thing is though, is that because they've got such a sweeping license, they're making Star Wars work across mobile and, like Battlefront for whatever, you say about the quality of that first game, it sure sold well.
Yeah.
We'll see how the reaction to that game or the longevity of that game reflects on the second one.
Battlefront
I'm really
is
curious
actually
to see how the sequel sells.
That's one of the key factors here is that because Battlefront 1 was criticized so much for not having a single player campaign,
Motive was going to help.
Motive was supposed to be helping Visceral with this game, and they got pulled off to make a campaign for Battlefront 2 instead.
Yeah,
so like it's just been shifting sands the whole time under this thing.
Yeah, and that makes sense. But like for EA, at the top level of EA, they just need to have big Star Wars games out there. Period. Yeah. If one of them doesn't come together, they've got Battlefront and they've got whatever the fuck Respawn's doing.
Oh yeah.
And then they've got they got the MMO, they've got the mobile game. both of which I've heard do quite well or have done quite well in the past. So at the top level, they're not looking at it going like, oh, well, we can't make Star Wars work. They're looking at it as going like, well, this specific, like the rest of the Star Wars machine is spinning quite well, except for this one. What's wrong with y'all? And then they go, you stole our resources for these other games that are doing quite well. Yeah. And they go, huh.
That's a good point, I guess. Yeah. You know, it's just like I was looking forward to this being the redemption of Amy, the redemption of Visceral. You know what I mean? Because like it's funny that like Jason's article is like, oh yeah, like Dead Space fails to make a profit or whatever on Dead Space 3. It was like, well, if you remember when they were launching Dead Space 3, EA was like, this needs to sell like 9 million units or something, and everybody's like, well, that's not going to happen.
Definitely not going to happen. And they're like, okay, well, let's put some boxes into this thing or some loot, some microtransactions or something in here to try to close that gap. But that that didn't help. Or maybe if it did help, it didn't help enough.
Yeah.
I mean, Dead Space 3 was the weakest Dead Space. 100%. Like it's crazy that they had expectations like that. Schreier actually got a pretty long statement out of Patrick Soderlund for this story, which you don't usually expect to see. And he's pretty candid about it. People should read this whole story. It's incredibly detailed if you want to see the full rundown of this stuff. But the gist of here's like the most interesting part of what Soderlund said. Storytelling has always been part of who we are, and single-player games will, of course, continue. This also isn't about needing a game that monetizes in a certain way. Those are both important topics, but that's not what this is. At the end of the day, this was a creative decision. Our job is to give people a deep enough experience and story, and it's also to push the boundaries forward. We just didn't think we were getting it quite right.
So like
that's kind of almost in opposition to the statement they put out.
Like the public statement they gave was very much that they gave to shareholders.
Yeah.
Just as much as they gave to the public was like
they didn't expect anyone to call them on their bullshit.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Sure. Yeah. So like I think you said last week, it's not a lie. It's an omission of the full truth.
Yeah. It's a little lie of omission. Just not telling the whole story.
Yeah. With their initial statement, where you're like, okay, yeah, that's all part of it, but they can't get out there in front of shareholders and say, we've been fucking burning money for 3 years on a thing that sucked. Sorry.
Yeah.
Because that just doesn't look good.
Yeah.
So instead, they can try to spin it into a positive. Go like, oh, we're taking the assets, and it's going to be games as a service. That's hot right now. You guys like the Destiny?
Yeah.
Activision's doing well, right? And we got Anthem too. Yeah. Gonna get it at both ends.
Yeah.
It sucks. I think the idea of like that style of like that Uncharted style of storytelling and that sort of stuff set in a Star Wars universe, like that always seemed like a really natural fit. And yeah, it's a shame that it didn't come together, or for obviously like a billion different reasons. It's a shame that didn't happen. That would have been neat.
Yep. In other sort of lousy EA news, EA shut down a fan effort to keep a bunch of old Battlefield games running.
Yeah.
Including 2142, Battlefield 2, I think also Heroes.
Yeah, I think they were trying to do Heroes as well.
There's not a whole lot of a story here. This group got cease and desisted, and they are complying. So they're shutting down.
They tried, but the thing is, they tried to write a cute cease and desist the way Netflix did around that.
What was that? I think it was like Stranger Things bar. Somebody was. I want to say somebody was like running a bar themed after Stranger Things, and Netflix came in and were like, no.
Yeah, but they tried to write it like in universe. Like it was like, here's a lawyer writing you this in universe thing. For Stranger Things, you read it and go like, oh yeah, they're sensitive to the fans wanting to create stuff.
Yeah.
While also saying,
protecting the property.
We have to protect our shit.
Yeah.
The EA thing.
It's a very, very clumsy version of that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Here's a line. We've noticed that Revive Network has several projects and websites devoted to being a medic by reviving older Battlefield games.
No.
Yeah.
No.
No. Under no circumstances.
We need a favor. We must ask that you stop throwing down ammo crates.
All right.
Yeah. Like stop. Just stop.
Yeah.
Be a lawyer. Just shut up and be. You're a lawyer.
You went to law school.
Yeah, you went to law school.
Here's the fucking amazing thing. The very next sentence, they be a lawyer. In other more legal styled terms, please stop distributing copies of our game clients and using our trademarks, logos, and artwork on your sites.
I signed up for that Revive Battlefield Heroes thing.
You're going to jail.
Yeah, well,
that's right.
Good thing Jason's back next week.
Yeah, more like Battlefield burglar.
It was weird. You had to like sync your Discord account to download a client that would it seemed like very not legit.
It seems like there's a way for them to do this a little more legally by, because if you look at what they're saying stop distributing our clients. It's like, okay, instead we will distribute a patcher that patches your official client to work with our homegrown, custom-made stuff.
Yeah.
That maybe they could get out of it that way, but whatever. Plenty of other games have done that, where it's been like, hey, we are not going to let you download Phantasy Star Online 2 or Phantasy Star Online Blue Burst, but here's the patcher that lets you connect it to a custom server if you want.
Go
buy the game and do it. Like Thug Pro, the Tony Hawk mod is that same way.
Yeah.
It's like it's not the full game. You need to own the real game, but we will patch the shit out of it to make it do our dirty work.
Yes.
Do our bidding.
Yeah.
This just happened minutes ago, and I haven't had a chance to read it, although this may just be a soundbite. But Microsoft has announced that PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds coming to the Xbox One in preview form on December 12th.
Yes.
Ooh.
The game preview is what
yes,
they call that.
yes.
Their form of early access.
Yes.
They also said something about version 1.0 launching in December.
Oh,
Yeah, late December.
Okay. So December 12th, is the Xbox date. But then let me see.
And then they're saying that it will leave early access on PC late December.
Okay.
They didn't give a date yet. They
Uh-oh.
said December.
All right.
Yeah.
Good to know as we move into our year-end wrap-up stuff.
That's the worst possible
I know.
for the logistics of what we're about to do with our Game of the Year
I
stuff.
know.
How
That
dare
is
they?
I know.
Honestly.
Why won't they think of you?
Christ.
Oh, man. Yeah, what do we do? Like, conditionally
I have no
include
idea.
it?
We have to think about it.
And then, like, also
Because-
say, hey, if that game doesn't actually come out, then this wins? Like, fuck.
Everyone's list just has giant asterisks everywhere.
Question marks.
Yeah. We'll
Great.
cross that bridge when we come
Yes,
to it,
we'll get there.
I guess.
Yeah.
But
$30 on the Xbox, just like PC.
I want to see what that thing ends up looking like, because
Yeah.
every time they've shown it, it's just been running on a PC, which I run on a PC a lot, so
Yeah.
I know what that looks like.
It works fairly well there.
What will it actually be like on an Xbox?
Yeah.
It's gonna be interesting. I hope it's great.
Yeah,
I like it on PC, but it's just I like playing on
the
console.
PC version has had console controller support for a long time,
Yeah.
so it's like they've clearly been working on all that UI stuff,
Yeah.
but it's a little clumsy.
Of course.
So I'm hoping that when they do a dedicated console version, well, two things. When they do their dedicated console version, they don't say, hey, you can hook up a mouse and keyboard and play it that way, because that will just unbalance the game.
Yeah, they know that. They have to know that.
And that they do more work to the console UI, because it's rough in a way that, unless you, I guess if you've never played it on a PC and never seen the real UI, maybe that stuff would be a little more acceptable. But I just look at it and go like, none of this makes sense. This is this is the wrong way.
They always
to do
talk
this
about
stuff.
the reason they're working with Xbox on this one is that they want to focus and they
Right.
want Xbox's expertise on it.
Yeah.
So we'll see.
Yeah.
Hopefully
Yeah.
somebody over there knows what's happening.
CCP,
Yeah.
makers
Eve.
of fine Eve products, such as Eve Valkyrie, is exiting the VR market.
Really?
Yes.
Oh, I didn't hear this.
They have this. Yeah, this was The Verge had this story. I
Oh,
believe
wow.
today or recently, but it was like, hey, so they took Eve Valkyrie, they re-released it as like Eve Valkyrie Warzone with
Yep.
a non-VR mode.
Yep.
And I guess it sounds like that they are shutting some studios and laying some people off.
Yeah.
Or potentially relocating them to other studios or that sort of thing. You know, but they are
This has major layoffs. Yeah.
Yeah. There's a quote in there, if you have the story up
Yeah.
from The Verge, that's like, hey, we love VR and
Yeah.
these did well, but it is not our future.
Our future, yeah.
basically.
Yeah,
Well,
will
Eve
con-
Online, right? I mean, they
Yeah,
don't.
you're
They
right.
have their own in-game economy. They don't need to worry
they
about
don't-
it.
yeah.
Yeah, it says, the head, is this the head? I'm looking for his title. CEO, of CCP said, we will continue to support our VR games, but will not be making material VR investments until we see market conditions that justify further investments beyond what we've already made.
Yeah, and they were very early in
Yeah.
on this stuff, like that EVR.
Yeah.
The stuff that became Valkyrie and Gunjack.
Yeah,
like
he says he speculated that they sold 500,000. Well, no, he speculated that they had set a record by selling 500,000 units of Gunjack.
Yeah, and Gunjack was on mobile as well.
Yeah.
So yeah, they were on a lot of platforms there too. That's not just Rift or whatever.
That's crazy. Huh?
Yeah.
When we have Valkyrie before it was Valkyrie officially, I remember
Yeah.
playing it at E3 on Oculus or whatever with a whole crew of IGN people, and that was like the first time everybody was like, "Whoa, that's a real game!"
Right,
We just played
yeah.
a real game where
Like,
we were
that
flying
was-
around shooting things.
Yeah. And then it came out, and since no one owned a Rift, like the week one of that was empty servers and
Yep.
bots, and you're just like, this is unplayable. And so they kept making adjustments, and they did some good work to Eve Valkyrie over the course of its lifespan. I've not played it out of VR, which doesn't sound very interesting. It's like now it's just a kind of, that just sounds like a generic dogfight.
Yeah.
that's not cool.
Yeah.
Or not cool enough. But yeah, I don't know. There are plenty of people out there that are finding that are doing things in VR. There are plenty of studios out there that I'm sure would go like, oh, that's just them. You can't infer any kind of trend out of this stuff. Yeah. But I look at this and go like, well, it doesn't look good.
Sure.
If they're putting out products that were like some of the first and biggest and most publicized VR games, and they're like, yeah, we're good. Like, what does that mean for all these other studios that are doing it? Or maybe they just didn't want to. Maybe it would require such a larger investment to stay current with a follow up or anything else that it just wasn't worth it for them to keep going. I don't know.
That's why we're getting all these experiences, right, on VR, is that, hey, this is something we can give you a small team to. They can create it while we work on another project or while we transition back.
Sort of,
Get it out the door as fast as you can, whereas a game like that, where you're making a quote-unquote real game with all this different stuff, it's going to take forever.
And then you've got stuff like Rec Room, which is, like, it was free. That's coming to PSVR as well. And like, Rec Room's incredible. It's free. It's a great multiplayer experience. And more importantly, it's free.
Yeah.
So it maintains a player base because it's free. And Echo Arena ended up in a similar situation on the Rift, where they made it accessible to players as part of another purchase or free. I forget what the actual method was, but like, multiplayer stuff in VR is hard because it's hard to maintain a player base, especially when you've got these other games coming out there for $0 that are just like sucking it all up. And Rec Room keeps expanding and adding new stuff. I keep getting emails, like, as a registered Rec Room user, they're like, "Hey, we added more laser tag. We did this. I'm like, "Fuck, that sounds great." So, the thought of this other stuff, Eve Valkyrie was a free-to-play game that they made you pay a lot of money for at one point. It came free with the Rift, but there was a lot of microtransactions around it. So they tried to like get money at both ends in a way that was weird. I don't know. I'm just kind of rambling, but that's a bummer, and that doesn't seem great. Like, but also, like, I think they're right in some ways.
Oh yeah, if you're not dedicated to it, that's the thing, right? Yeah. And that's Eve Online is always going to be their bread and butter.
Right,
what they want to do.
So studios that are like very dedicated to VR and making it work and doing new things, like, I'm sure they'll find plenty.
You remember
of
when they
success.
launched Dust 514?
Right.
On PlayStation 4, where it's like you're going to see battles from Eve Online above you,
so
but
cool.
down here.
It was a great pitch, but
and it took forever to get out, and then it finally limped out, and nobody cared.
Didn't quite work out.
I'm playing it like 3 or 4 times, going like, I'd rather play Mag.
I forgot to mention, I totally forget the name of it. It's the Raw Data people, but they announced that PSVR game yesterday. You're running it's like kind of foot race.
Sprint Vector?
Sprint Vector.
Yeah, that looks cool. That's one of the cooler.
Played that at Judges Week. Yeah, it was cool.
Yeah, it's one of the cooler VR things I've seen in a while.
Did you? We ended up talking about that event a little bit.
We'll get there. Don't worry.
Oh, okay, all
right. Speaking of dodgy business conditions, Nintendo has said that Super Mario Run did not turn a quote acceptable profit.
It's a bad game.
Well,
it's a bad game.
Okay.
Period.
Is decent. It was a decent one-handed game that I could play while. No.
Yeah. It was not a good runner. It was not a good Mario game.
We all know what Mario was supposed to be. This wasn't it.
Gosh, it's been so long since I've even thought about it. But the like PvP or getting all the red coins was fun. I enjoyed that challenge with like the different characters. And then there was the 3 really hard levels you got if you got all the coins in the world, and I thought those were challenging in a weird way that I wasn't expecting. But
I think people just didn't want to pay $10 for a thing that then also required you to be online all the time, so you couldn't play it on a plane.
That was the biggest bullshit part of it. Was always online.
And they cut the price relatively recently on it.
Really? Huh.
But
they note that it's been downloaded over 200 million times. But they did not make what I was about to say. They didn't make their money back, but what they actually said is an acceptable profit. So who knows what that means?
Right.
Like I can't imagine that thing was that expensive to develop.
Yeah, I wonder. But you could download it for free and play like the first world, and then it was like if you want to play the full game, it was like a demo less than So 200 million downloads, but how many of those converted into $10 sales?
Yeah. Sounds like that Fire Emblem game has been a lot more successful. It's more microtransaction driven.
Yeah.
Than Super Mario Run.
I think that one's a worse.
That thing did not grab me at all.
Not a fan of that one.
What do you guys make of that Animal Crossing Pocket Camp?
People have been playing it at soft launch in Australia.
Yeah, if you make an Australian account, you can just get it.
And it sounds like that they've got a ramp on the craft. It's like a timers and stuff for crafting. So it sounds like those timers maybe jump up too fast right now.
Okay.
And, it's soft launch, so maybe they'll adjust it or whatever.
Yeah.
They can always adjust it, I guess.
Yeah.
But it goes from like, oh, let's take a minute to build this thing to suddenly it's like 10 hours to build a thing. And you can buy some camp tickets or whatever to make it go faster. I don't know. Like I've not played it. I don't have an Australian account. It just sounds like a hassle. But looking at some of the footage that's out there of it and looking at what people are saying about it, I don't think it's the Animal Crossing I was hoping it would be. The campsite thing doesn't sound as cool as
your house.
Real Animal Crossing. Yeah.
Leading into this one, they're like, we're doing a Nintendo Direct today about Animal Crossing Mobile. I was like, all right, whatever. And then reading it the next day, I was like, fuck, this actually sounds like something I'd like to try. Like, I don't know. I was talking to a friend at my party or whatever, and he was like, oh, I've been playing it, and it's really good, and I'm really enjoying it. I haven't spent money. I'm getting a lot of tickets, and I'm having to do it. But it's the idea of like, I have 5 minutes, 10 minutes. You and I are talking before the show, right?
Yeah.
Like I could just pop in and do something. And that actually works in Animal Crossing, right? Where it is real time of like, it takes 10 hours to craft. All right, whatever.
I think there is a way to make a mobile Animal Crossing game that is probably also the best Animal Crossing game, just because that form factor and having it with you all the time.
Yeah.
Like that game always tied into the time of day and time of year and all that other stuff in a way that makes sense for a device that you always have with you.
Totally.
So I think there's a way to do that that would be incredible. And it's whatever online communication you could do with other players. There's so much potential there. And this thing, I think it looks neat. I will happily download it as soon as it is a button press away.
Yeah, I don't want to jump through these hoops of making this account, log in, log out to this.
Type in the word boomerang over and over again. Exactly. Whatever it is. And so I will happily try it. I hope it's great. But what they showed, I don't know. It just doesn't. I feel like totally.
As somebody who doesn't play mobile games, I'm like, oh, this is one I'll try.
I feel like there's a better Animal Crossing out there, and it shouldn't be rocket science to make it, I guess. Yeah. So it's hard to look at what's out there now compared to what the ideal in my head is. But we'll see. We'll see.
Yeah. Lastly, a sad piece of news. Our former associate, I guess I would call him, Stephen Toulouse, from formerly of Xbox, passed away last week. We had him on 2 E3 shows, 3 maybe?
A few times, yeah.
He would, better known as Steptoe, I should say.
Right.
As his internet handle.
Yeah.
He often rolled around with E.
Yep.
Also of Xbox.
Yeah, they were a hell of a duo.
They were kind of a pair,
two.
Yeah. That we had on, a good number of live shows over the years.
Yeah.
He had left Xbox.
Yeah.
Some number of years before. But
it was more recently at HBO, I want to say.
I think,
yeah. That's incredibly sad. It's terrible. It's terrible.
Yeah. Condolences to his family and friends.
Absolutely.
Yeah. With that, do you guys want to read some emails? You need a break? You want to take a knee, or
we're gonna just
barrel right into the emails? How you feeling?
I'm down for whatever.
We got to get you out of here.
Don't worry
You have
about me.
another live stream today.
Yeah, whatever. Kind of funny. Twitch.tv/kindoffunnygames.
Live your life on the internet.
Yeah, it's what you know. It's what you do. That's where you make the content.
Yeah. You're never not online these days. So we got to read some emails.
Sounds like we're
never
gonna
log
read
out.
some emails.
So you can, Podcast@giantbomb.com.
I played it once right when Brad did it, but the volume was all the way down.
Nice.
Damn it.
It's okay. Let's read some emails. Matt from Toronto. Is Luigi's Mansion part of the mainline Mario games? It doesn't have platforming in it, which I guess excludes it from consideration, but to me, it's always felt like part of the transition from 64 to Sunshine. Moreover, why does nobody talk about that game? It was so unique and actually pretty scary in some parts. It's the best Ghostbusters game ever made. So why do objectively worse Nintendo games get talked about more than Luigi's
Greg,
Mansion?
you're a Ghostbuster.
That's right.
What do you think?
I think it's part of the mainline Luigi games.
Yes.
I think that's really where it falls into the line of it. It's not a Mario game. It's not.
It's,
Other than him walking and going, Mario.
Yeah.
Mario.
referenced in it.
Yeah, Mario referenced left in it.
So do you think the first mainline Luigi game is Mario is Missing?
Yes.
I guess so.
By that logic, absolutely.
Yeah, that'd be right. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like mechanically, I see why you would think that that could be like the stopping point between. I think it's a really fucked up thing to say about Luigi's Mansion that it led to Super Mario Sunshine.
Luigi's
honestly.
Mansion is awesome.
Yeah,
Luigi's Mansion's great.
It's a cool
great game.
Yeah.
Did you like the sequel on 3DS, DS better?
Less so. It was all right.
Yeah.
It's fine. But
see, I remember I enjoyed the DS one more, I thought, because I just remember looking back on GameCube Luigi's Mansion, I just remember it being very simple. And I thought they did more with
they found
3DS.
more.
Yeah,
They found more.
Have you guys ever played the arcade game? The Luigi's
no,
Mansion.
I
It's like a
haven't, yeah.
vacuum cleaner controller.
Yeah.
That's
It's
awesome.
It's pretty fun.
Are you making that up?
No,
that's
that
real?
exists.
What?
Yeah.
Weird.
Yeah.
Huh. That's cool.
It's got like branching paths and stuff. It's
It's like kind of a light gun game
Yeah,
almost, right?
totally.
Yeah.
And also, Ghostbusters on the Sega Master System is the best Ghostbusters game.
I like the Genesis one. That was the side scroller with the giant
Yep,
heads.
yep, I know.
Oh, yeah.
That's a good one, too.
Yeah, I like that one a lot. That and the C64, which I think was the same as the
Yeah,
Master System.
they just have a
Yeah.
little bit differences.
Michael from Bay City, Michigan.
Bay City, Michigan.
Have you been there?
We're number 1 in Bay City.
That's right.
Number 1.
The segment of last week's Bombcast about the Switch's nearly useless data transfer got me thinking about why they would put a feature like that out. The only conclusion I could think of is if Nintendo plans to have hardware revisions of the Switch in the coming years. Do you think we could see a Switch XL, Switch Lite, or Super Switch in the future? That's the only reasonable conclusion I could see transferring data from one Switch to another.
I just bought my wife her own Switch 2 days ago and used this feature. That's why it's there.
Yeah.
Because Nintendo realized this is a huge hit with families and multiple people in the house, and suddenly they all want to play Mario Kart together, but on a plane or whatever.
I saw
that was the answer.
Yeah, after we talked about that last week, people were like, "Oh, can I move my kid's account over to another Switch finally, please?"
Yeah, that was actually it was funny. We were we finished our Gamescast recording and then left, and Nintendo put out the press release about this. On that Gamescast, we bitched about this, and the fact that I was like, I'd love to give him more money, and Jen would love to play Zelda, but she doesn't want to play it on my unit, knowing she might lose that save one day.
Yeah, and that's, you end up in a situation then at that point where you're buying multiple copies of games, right? Or just sharing a physical copy, because that you can pass back and forth.
Sure.
Do you think it will lead to you like getting more physical copies of games, specifically passing back and forth?
I'm gonna buy her digital codes and be fine with it. Like, especially, I mean, like the games we're buying, like the dozens of hours of Mario Kart I've played. Yeah, she wants it. As great as Mario was, like I bought a Mario bundle, but Mario deserves two payments for us.
How was that transfer?
Super simple, super easy.
Is it just like, do you have to be on a Wi-Fi network, or does it just you do?
Yeah, it's
you
Wi-Fi.
connect them both to the same Wi-Fi.
I believe that was what it was. Yeah, there's no.
I mean, you have to do that to exchange local friend codes, so I imagine you have to do it.
Well, on the 3DS, it was a point-to-point, like they were just talking directly.
Oh yeah, but you pointed them at each other, right?
Was there a fun animation?
Yeah, was there?
Like the 3DS has all the.
No, it was a loading bar.
Really?
Stuff,
dude, on the 3DS, Pikmin like literally grab your stuff and run to the other. Like you literally see them running over to the other. 3DS.
They're done with that shit, all right? They're like, let's just get you to play the fucking games.
Fair enough.
Ever since they got rid of blocks and just went to megabytes, like they fucking forgot how to have fun.
Exactly. Bunch of sellouts.
But yeah, they're going to redesign the hardware as well.
Yeah, you think? What do you think? Like they'll do one with a bigger screen, or what? I don't know what. Because the Wii and the Wii U, there was only one of each.
They kind of lose out on the new color thing by just hey, replace the Joy-Con and they can just sell those for people that want that. Yeah. So I think that's. I mean, I guess they could do a white one. They could do colors, but it's less interesting.
Yeah, I wonder.
So yeah, I think it comes down to: do you do a bigger screen? Do you
make
do
the whole thing screen, like
all
none of
screen?
That border?
That's right. Yeah,
so the little
OLED,
iPhone X
cut out at the top,
glass back,
no bezel,
thinner. Yeah. You could have those types of revisions that are just like, hey, here's that type of upgrade.
I guess what about you're making good points.
You could theoretically do a version that is not undockable. No screen.
Sure.
I was actually just about to suggest the other direction, which is portable only, like a version that does not dock with the TV.
Do both.
Yeah.
Or what if you had one that did both?
Yeah. Kind of like the 2DS.
You could put it in a thing, right? Wouldn't that be crazy?
Yeah. Yes.
Pull it out.
No, but like a cheaper one with no dock and no connection, no way to connect it to.
I got so hung up on comparing it and thinking about 3DS and the million fucking those things that I guess you're right. Yeah, like I don't know what would the redesign of this look like. Where would you go with this?
Right.
And you're right with the Joy-Cons. I keep buying fucking Joy-Cons like an idiot. Like they don't want to get away from that.
Now you get the red ones, like you said.
I do like those red ones.
Yeah.
I like the ones that came out alongside ARMS.
Yeah, the yellow ones. I got those.
Were those Splatoon or was that ARMS? I like the yellow ones a lot, but
I think they're expensive. It's like $80 for a pair. I think that's 70. Right. It's a lot.
Yeah.
Have you guys ever had issue with buttons becoming less responsive?
No.
You were saying you had a button that was
my A button. I have to like really press it if I want to press it.
Nintendo support is extremely helpful.
Okay.
You should call them. They will
They will send you a controller coffin.
They will almost definitely help you out.
But then I can't play Mario.
Yeah.
Finish Mario and send it in.
Pro controller, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Set it up on your little tablet. That was when I was living in the future on my 6-hour flight back from Montreal with just the Switch there and on my tray table down and me hands underneath it playing with the Pro controller.
Yeah. Jeff Power?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Come on now.
Oh, that's the life.
Oh, yeah.
And a lot of Nintendo questions. Matthew from Glasgow asks, in Super Mario Odyssey, when Mario takes control of the various creatures and living things, what happens to their consciousness? Are they imprisoned in their own mind as Mario commits murder and grand larceny, using their body as his own twisted chaos puppet? This game is some Hideo Kojima shit, and I like it.
Yeah.
100%.
Is that what's going on there?
Yeah, that is absolutely what's going
It's
on.
being John Malkovich.
Yeah.
Trapped back there, just watching
They're
it all
trapped back there
happen.
watching it and freaking out.
Unable to control their own actions.
Yeah.
That's horrifying.
A living nightmare.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the first time you jump into something, you jump into that frog, and Mario has this like animation where he's like kind of just traveling through space and freaking out, and there's vague images of frogs. Do you guys remember this?
Yes,
Yeah.
I do.
Yeah.
That's, I just assume, what's happening to the consciousness of the person. It's just endlessly traveling in that kind of fourth dimension, just wandering, seeing stretched out images of Mario, like from Mario 64,
Sure.
kind of wondering where they are, and then as soon as he leaves their body, they're sucked back in.
Yeah.
And kind of just scarred for life.
And it's the question of what does happen to Mario's body. Like, granted, his mustache,
Ooh, yeah.
like, we're like
Yeah.
combining their DNAs because
Huh.
it's his mustache on whatever he's taken over. So they're just one being now.
They merge,
It's like
and
Firestorm?
then he leaves them, and then they're dizzy, and
Yeah.
they eventually recover. Actually, they vanish and then respawn. Is what usually seems to happen, but it's dark.
Yeah. There was that great meme that went around when they first debuted it, where it was like an interview with Nintendo of
Yeah.
like, does someone die? does the person die when Mario takes control of them?
Yeah.
Yes. Is
that-
it painful?
Wait a
Extremely.
minute. Is that a new Mario coming out? Does the old Mario die when he goes in and
Oh
it
my
generates a new?
God.
We should move on.
Yeah, move on. Let's
This is way too much.
yeah.
Let's see here. I didn't actually have another email queued up.
Oh, well, that's
Talk amongst yourselves.
Not so easy, Brad, is it?
damn. Shoes on the other foot now,
Yeah.
Sonic.
What's up?
Devin from Regina, Saskatchewan. All right,
Mhm.
Ben, you asked for it.
Oh,
As a Canadian, I'd like to hear Greg say something wonderful in French and then Ben try to repeat it.
Bonjour, je m'appelle Greg. Yeah, I'll stop there.
bonjour, je m'appelle Greg.
Crushed it.
All right.
Yep.
Done.
Crushed it.
Yeah.
Done.
Oh, thanks for emailing.
He says also, who's your favorite Canadian game developer? BioWare, Radical, Silicon Knights, Studio MDHR?
Oh, I guess they've risen pretty high in the ranks.
Yeah, it's like a
Yeah.
latecomer there on this list.
Hmm.
I'd
BioWare.
probably still say BioWare.
Yeah, I mean,
Despite recent missteps,
Yeah.
I would still have to go with BioWare.
I'm sure there's someone I'm not thinking of.
WB
honestly.
Montreal.
Yeah.
Batman Arkham Origins.
Yeah. When the series finally kicked into high gear.
That Deathstroke battle, man. Best boss
man.
battle.
Yeah, that's true.
What about Polytron?
Oh yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
sure.
Cappy.
That's a good one. Cappy. Yeah.
This is a weird email. Hyson from Sacramento writes in, greetings programs, first time, long time. Here was a mental thread from today. Halloween Party Playlist Editions, Ghostbusters theme, Ray Parker Jr., Bobby Brown, presumably because he sings the Ghostbusters 2 theme, humping around. Question, what is humping around?
It's fucking.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's fucking
Yeah.
different people, right? You're getting around.
Yeah.
Follow-up, is anyone humping around?
Not me.
No,
I'm not humping around.
No,
Yeah,
I'm a humble
okay.
person.
No.
Yeah.
All right, there you go. There's an answer to your question. P.S. Has the moratorium on video game-related poop stories been lifted yet? Got a steamy one from Nintendo circa 2012.
Is the story there?
No, it is not. But we are giving him official sanction.
Be careful with this.
Could've
We
just
might
saw a
fire.
story.
So we've got a lot of questions. We got a lot of. There was a period of time. There was a brown period for sure. Bombcast
Sure.
where a lot of people at studios were writing in to talk about the various bathroom crimes that were happening at
Yeah.
their studio.
Some toilet malfeasance taking place
Sure,
at various
sure.
game developers.
And normally I would say no, but I want to hear about Nintendo. If you got Nintendo poop stories, I want to hear them.
Oh boy,
So Reggie walks in next to me.
really
Pokemon World Championships.
opening the floodgates here.
Or if you have Pizza Hut stories from when Reggie was around.
Pizza
at
Hut
the
Canada.
time.
That's
Yeah.
my favorite
Oh,
video
that's
game
right,
developer.
What is that? Is that Yum Brands?
Yum is
Isn't that
Yum
Pizza Hut
Brands is
part of
like
Yum?
KFC.
Yeah,
Taco.
it's Pizza Hut.
Yeah, I
right?
think- yeah. I believe that is one of the Yum brands.
Yum.
Yum.
Mm.
Let's see. Once again, I don't have an email queued up.
Man, you sunk into this hole of the Yum Brands.
That's right.
Brandiverse.
I can't think about anything else.
Yeah.
I totally forgot to mention this game, but here's an email about it from Adam. The Mummy Demastered seems like a decent game based on a terrible movie. Can you all think of any other games that were better than the movies they were based on?
Oh, yeah. Wolverine, X-Men Origins.
Oh, yeah.
Remember that?
Okay. Yeah. Chronicles of Riddick, Escape from Butcher Bay is
like
the prototype for this whole category. The game is incredible.
Spider-Man 2. No, wait, no. I dialed it back. Sorry. That's not true at all. I was starting to conflate Spider-Man 3 and Spider-Man 2.
Spider-Man 2 is not
Spider-Man 2 is a great movie and a great game.
That's maybe more rare. A very good
Where they
game
both knock it out of the park?
Yeah.
There's got to be some more.
Green Lantern Rise and the Manhunter.
There should be. I don't know what you would call it because calling it
Spider-Man for the 2600 is a great game.
Okay,
I just want to say that. I have that one sentence.
Fair.
You get those bombs, the Green Goblins.
I don't know what you would call this concept page, but we should have a concept page for this.
It sounds too subjective for the wiki.
Movie games that are really, you think so?
Like it's because
I
the specific page would be like movie games that aren't shit or that are better than the movie, and that whole thing is
popular games based on bad movies.
That's just people arguing.
Yeah, fine. Mummy Demastered is a cool game.
Have you played any?
Not. I got a little bit deeper into it. Did not have much time, but it's
people keep talking about it. I haven't played it.
It's a pretty straightforward Metroidvania with a little bit of Contra-esque shooting, but it's super solid.
Cool.
Music is fantastic. Nice pixel art. It's good. How about Brandon writes in? Do the Monopoly pieces from McDonald's Monopoly basically just turn chicken nuggets into loot boxes? Random drop Monopoly tokens with varying drop rates that no one can see, leading people to think they're close to winning even though they really aren't, compelling people to buy more Big Macs for more random tokens only to get nothing but duplicates.
Well, I think the idea is that you are eating there anyway and hopefully winning something along the way.
Yeah.
And they advertise it in such a way that people probably do go there slightly. People that are into it probably go there slightly more because the game is running.
I think he might have a point.
As our resident McDonald's expert
Thank
here,
you.
I'm going to say that the difference is you kind of always win from a loot box. You always get something. In this, you're just kind of like shit out of luck unless you get like 3 of the matching color.
Right.
So maybe it's slightly different.
I've had years where I've like got the board and licked and stuck them and been like, I'm getting it all full. Oh, I'm missing 1 from every group. Weird how that works. And then I've had years where I've gotten the pieces and opened them up to see if anywhere like instant win, like here's a breakfast sandwich, you dirtbag.
Coffee.
Yeah, and when it's not those, I just throw the rest away.
Yeah.
Those are usually the ones that end up like in the cup holder in the car.
You're
like all.
You're like, I got a free breakfast
Tennessee
sandwich
Avenue
that I
sitting here.
that I haven't used for. I don't think the ones for free food half the time I'm terrible about using.
Yeah.
So the ones that are just actual McDonald's locations.
I won $1,000 at Taco Bell on episode 1. Pog toppers.
Wow.
Off drinks. Yeah.
That's not bad.
I had Samuel L. Jackson and my friend had Yoda.
That's a good score.
So did you have to like split it?
Oh
or
yeah,
did you,
we split $500.
Who had the rare one?
We don't know.
Oh,
We don't
okay,
know.
wow.
You know what I mean? Before the internet, we couldn't even figure it out.
What did you spend the money on?
I wanted to buy a new camera for backyard wrestling, but I think I held out and got that for Christmas. So I think I might have just saved the money. Been a dork.
It's very adult of you.
You should have
Well,
banked.
it was not adult when I called. I was at his house and I saw it and I was like, I have the other, and I grabbed his phone and called my mom. Like, I knew she's cleaning. I'm like, do not throw away the pogs. Do not throw away the pogs.
Wow. Yeah.
That's a magical moment.
You should have instead banked on you having the rare one.
Try to like dial
and
it
then
up.
just be like, well, I'm just going to go eat there a dozen more times. And because if I've got the rare one, then
that's smart. That would have been smarter.
And then you get all the money.
Yeah.
Your friend gets nothing.
Yeah, damn. That's a bad idea. We're not even friends anymore.
Steal the pog. That's the other thing. It's like, oh, look at this.
I'm a big Yoda fan.
I love
you mind
pogs.
if I take this?
I love Yoda. Yoda's my favorite. I'll give you $1 for it. All right, bye.
A question from Jonathan addressed to Greg, but I'll let everybody answer it. With the Shadow of the Colossus remake on the way, which PlayStation exclusives would you want to see remade from the ground up? I'd take PlayStation All-Stars with a budget.
Oh my God. Give up the dream of PlayStation All-Stars. Every conference that comes around, it's like, I heard a rumor. PlayStation All-Stars 2 with this. Get out of here.
Who's lying? Like
who? Yeah, your uncle's brother who works over there.
Yeah,
get out of here.
Great rumor.
Do they have any more characters? Didn't they kind of use them all?
Well, now we've made so many more.
The first one,
I mean, now we can have
new ones.
Sam Drake in there.
Okay.
So I mean,
and was Jumping Flash in before?
no, he was not in there.
So,
There was nothing. And the Patapons weren't playable. So that's the big part.
Did you call him he? Is his name Jumping Flash?
No, no, I guess I don't know.
Oh God, I felt like my whole world was about to be turned upside down. Like, are you saying the rabbit's name is Jumping Flash?
No, the rabbit does have a name though.
Oh,
I think. Just don't even look it
I'm
up.
not gonna. You know what? I googled it, but I'm closing the tab
Yeah.
before it didn't answer.
Built from the ground up, PlayStation exclusive.
Yeah.
I mean, like this is I just want them to just put out a collection of Infamous 1 and 2 on PlayStation 4 because I just love those games and I like to replay them. But you don't need to remake them.
I think Infamous 1 and 2 were better than Second Son.
I thought you were
correct.
Okay. Oh, you are 1,000% correct. No, don't get me wrong.
I feel way
for me. It's
better
that
about this.
Infamous 1 I thought had the best story and feel to it, but it was brand new.
Yeah.
Infamous 2. The gameplay was awesome,
Right.
but like the world was really cool and diverse.
Yeah.
And then Second Son looked the best, had the best sound effects, was using all the power, but the story was just so weird.
It didn't play as well for me. I don't know.
Yeah.
For whatever
Yeah.
reason, I thought those
Yeah.
PS3 games played way better.
Agreed 100%. Yeah, 2 had the best gameplay, best graphics. Anyways,
I want a Bushido Blade remake.
do you know?
High def, just like, you don't have to add a lot to it. There wasn't like a story mode really, right? I just remember it being versus. That's all we played, but it'd be cool to see some like, you can do a lot with like the limb combat stuff with modern tech.
It's one of those. I like the new. Let's go with something new. We don't have to keep rebooting and redoing, and because then we do it, and you get a twist of metal, and you're like, well, we didn't need this.
Sure,
we
right?
didn't need
Yeah,
this.
no one needed this.
I loved Warhawk, and I was like, why is it an RTS?
Could have just not done Twisted Metal and gone straight to Drawn to Death. You know?
Yeah,
like
that's what the people wanted.
Yeah.
That's where we wanted to go with that one.
Whew.
But yeah, I'll say Infamous, I guess. Since I just want them to
Yeah.
get back to the root of Cole and Zeke, their relationship.
I'm trying to think like what, like rebuild from the ground up. Like
I mean, like, what am I gonna say, Jack? Like, no, we don't need another.
no,
Jack,
I'm gonna say Siphon Filter.
See, I kicked that around for a second. I
Yeah.
did think about that because especially now that like Metal Gear is doing whatever the fuck Metal
Exactly.
Gear is doing,
Yeah.
like, why not?
true.
do
There's
that out there?
There's room for Gabe
There's
Logan.
room for Gabe Logan
And
to come
there's
back.
no Splinter Cell happening.
Right.
Yeah, that's true.
There's room for Gabe Logan and his awesome hip swivel run mechanics.
There's never been a better time.
We'll redo that. We don't need him with
No,
with the
no,
poop.
dude,
There's
that's
poop in
one
the
thing they
pants.
keep. They can change the name of the character. I don't care.
Yeah.
It just needs
That run animation
needs to
is
run like that.
Yep.
His giant diaper. Huh?
Yeah.
Crucial.
Yeah. Yeah.
Let's see. 2 more emails? Let's do 2 more emails real quick. Sam.
Jet Moto.
Okay. Destruction Derby.
That was Psygnosis. Well, I guess they
Was
own
it?
Psygnosis.
I mean, that was
so, yeah.
exclusive, yeah. Sam from Montana. This email was a couple weeks back, but we've crossed over now. But he says, with the excitement brewing for Mario Odyssey in the preview period, I'm curious how the elder statesman of Giant Bomb felt, and Greg, felt about Super Mario Sunshine before it was released way back in 2002. Did Flood look to be an exciting twist on the 64 movement? Was the second analog stick expected to be a revolution in camera controls? The first ever glimpse of Mario's bare arms?
That did go a long way.
Yeah.
I remember going into Sunshine going like, hey, it's a new Mario game.
Yeah.
Like, you're like, okay, well, I really want to check this out, but also that I feel like what they had shown off, like the water stuff, didn't always look great. You would see it and go like, oh, water is a jetpack. That could be really crazy. But yeah.
You're saying the mood around the office was sober?
Yeah, like I was reviewing that game in my office and no one came by to look at it.
Huh.
No, like it was not, it was a solitary experience. Eventually, like me getting to the part where like the camera is the worst and I'm dying over and over again and cursing in my office. Like finally they were like, can you just close your door? So I had to play that in the dark because that's just how I was feeling at the time. Yeah. I played that in a dark office with the door shut, and did not have a fantastic time with it. But it sure looked great and sound like the core around it was very sound. I don't remember people being like super psyched for it at all.
All right. Then.
Like I was interested to see how it came out. I think more than anything else.
Yeah. I still have a sealed copy of that I've never opened, so I can't answer that question.
Yeah, I mean, like, I don't know. Leading up to it, it was like, oh man, like he's on an island.
Right.
They always use such diverse environments. Oh no, he's just fucking on this island the entire time.
Yeah. Now, if he was fucking on that island,
yeah, now we're talking. You know what I mean?
Then
open
need
the
to do some
floodgates.
cleanup.
You know what
Then
I
it
mean?
would be a game to remember.
I mean, I was like a huge Nintendo fanboy, and I wasn't even that compelled to. I didn't even buy it. I just rented it.
It didn't seem like the sequel to Super Mario 64 or anything like that. It seemed like
like
a weird offshoot.
There's an interstitial.
Yeah.
Kind of like Luigi's Mansion in a way. It was like, oh, they're making a weird thing. And you play it and go like, oh, this actually is very much patterned after a lot of the stuff from the previous game. But
also different enough that it's not quite a direct lineage.
Yeah.
So Mario Odyssey is the direct sequel to Mario 64, is what you're saying.
I feel like it has its roots in Galaxy, though, too.
Yeah.
Like, a lot of those same mechanics are there, right? I mean,
yeah, but I feel like Galaxy was way more like, here's a weird this whole planet is a weird platforming level.
Yeah.
Whereas this is like, these worlds have a lot of platforming in them, but also a lot of space to just run around and explore.
Yeah. I guess that is the difference. But those
it's
games
like a
always,
hybrid of Galaxy,
Yeah.
like the design of Galaxy with
Right.
the like core mechanics of 64.
Yeah.
That's a good way to put it, yeah.
All right, last email. Stephen from Brisbane. In the 2017 Sony Paris Games Week video, Jeff talked about a game demo where he played Sprint Vector in a pseudo-tournament with other press members where the game devs cheered and high-fived each other constantly. What's the weirdest event or demo you've ever been to? And or what's the most embarrassed you've ever felt at an event?
Event or demo opens it up to, like...
That's a wide range.
All right.
Hmm.
So
I was at that Sprint
yeah,
Vector
you were
one,
at
I
that Sprint
remember
Vector demo.
Yeah.
It was really... they like had a bracketed tournament, and they were very gung-ho about their game. And people should, they're making a game, they believe in it, like all that stuff. I don't want to say like, oh, they're passionate about their game, what a bunch of nerds. But it was like...
But like we walked in, they opened the door, and the one guy was like, "Welcome, ladies and gentlemen."
Yeah,
we're like, did they all like make an arm tunnel for you to walk through?
That would not have been out of character.
And
for
they
what
had given
this...
us the sweatbands and everything.
Like, put on your sweatbands. You need to know. We need to know what team you're on. Put on your sweatbands. Like, I don't want to do that.
That was like that was an embarrassing demo. Not my most embarrassing, but I had a bad my elbow was hurt. So I couldn't do and like the whole thing is like momentum.
Right.
And so there was this very nice woman giving me the demo or whatever, but then I couldn't get a rhythm and I was struggling. She's like doing I'm in the VR, but I can hear her. She's like, "You're doing great." And I'm like, I can't climb this fucking wall. And he's like, you're gonna get it. I'm like, I got the idea. Thank you.
I made it to the finals and then lost in the finals.
Who beat you?
I don't know.
Is that why you're so sour about that?
Exactly. Yeah. I'm just very salty about the whole experience. Probably the gosh. Okay. Well, so the weirdest demo I think I was in was the Crash Bash demo.
I didn't know if you were going to bring it up or not. This was the first thing I thought
when
of
they brought Mark Cerny around.
But I also figured if we told the story, we wouldn't say who it was. But here we go.
So
strap in.
All right. So they brought Mark Cerny around to demo Crash Bash, the party game, the Mario Party game.
And this is 2000, I believe, because I was an intern.
Okay.
And that was the summer that I interned.
And were you sitting in on this?
Yes, I was there.
Okay, you were there for this. So
I want to say maybe Ryan was. No, Ryan wasn't there.
I think it might have just been you and me.
Maybe. Or maybe Ben Stahl was there, or somebody else was. I feel like somebody else was. Anyway.
Yeah. So they come in to demo the game. Like tons of publishers were coming in to show off games all the time. It was whatever. And they brought Mark Cerny because he was the face of the game in a lot of ways. Like as he had been with Crash. Like obviously Mark Cerny was already Mark Cerny at that point. You were like, that's the guy that made Marble Madness. But he was not necessarily like a hardware architect at that point. He was consulting, I think, at the time. He was
still more of a game design guy at the time.
And so they brought him in, and they showed off some of the demos, and the person, the PR person that was with him, she was very much like, I need to get him some coffee and some of this other stuff. And it was like, again, not necessarily out of the ordinary, but for me, the most awkward moment was one of the games is you're hopping around on all these squares, and you have to hop in a square, and it'll color all of the squares.
Cubes.
Your color. It's like almost like a Cubert thing. Not
sure.
quite. So the way you would, I asked the question. I said, like, so, does that mean if you were to just be able to hop all the way around the outside edge of the level and color in it all your color, would you then win? And his response was, oh, well, yeah, but no one, that doesn't really, it doesn't really happen. So then they had me play it, and that was the first thing I did, and I did it, and I was like, okay. And then there was a very awkward stare and silence at me, and I was like, and all I could think to say was like, okay, well, that's, what else you got? And which was then met with continued silence.
I don't think that was received perhaps the way it was meant.
And then eventually the demo continued, but it was definitely this moment of just like, okay, I was not expecting this to go there, but it very much did. And yeah, that was probably the most awkward demo. That's when you ask me about awkward demo moments, that is the one that goes up in my mind.
Yeah.
The Sprint Vector is that was silly.
Yeah,
but like whatever. I've been in that demo a dozen times.
But the thing about it was it was silly and weird, plucked at a time. Like, I feel like I don't have those demos anymore. Like, when I started in 2007 and 8, we're getting all that weird shit, right? That was the most bizarre of things you'd go to do. Yeah. I remember, like, this isn't my most awkward demo, but, like, for me, it was the one I got assigned. IGN, I've been there, like, 3 months or whatever, and I got assigned to go to Palm Springs for the Sierra event.
Oh, you went to one of those.
And it was that thing of, like, cool, how many games I'm seeing? All right, you're going to see 2. You're in charge of 2 games on this list, 2 games that don't even matter. They weren't wet. And I was like, cool, you're going there for 4 days.
Yeah.
And I was like, excuse me? And like, yeah, it's this place that shoot a reality shit. And Sarah just fucking dumped money on this and sent all these people there to do these things and threw crazy parties. And I remember talking to my mom on the phone, and she's like, so how is it? How's this event? And I'm like, I feel dirty. Yep. Like, this is one of those things of like, I just graduated with the journalism degree and did the whole ethics course.
Oh, sure,
I guess, a year and a half I had graduated. But it was like, what the fuck am I doing here? Like, why is this how this industry works?
Like, I just want to see these games.
And then Sierra imploded, and the bubble burst, and that stopped.
Well, there's like that, and then like, Atari had some events like that,
so I was
going
to mention that. I never went to those Sierra ones, but from what I remember, that was what, 06, 07?
Yeah, 07 probably.
From what I remember, that was around the tail end of publishers pulling shit like that.
Yeah.
I went to those Atari, 2 of the Atari ones that were like years before that. It was the same situation.
Like Hawaii and
Mexico.
They're
both in Cabo. And yeah, it was the same situation of like, I mean, ostensibly, like, hey, we're showing our whole lineup. Come down and see all of the games we have in development right now.
Right.
But yeah, realistically, you had like 2 games to cover, and you were there for 3 days.
Yeah.
And I remember the first one we went to, we sent enough people to cover all those games and like have all the coverage up like super early.
Right. That was the very much the GameSpot way. It was like, we need to send enough people to have all this covered immediately.
Let's get them all written up as soon as they're seen. Let's get it all on the website before anybody else. And then we get there and then find out at the event that there was an embargo until after the event was over.
Yeah.
We could have sent one person to cover everything.
Yeah.
And it was bad. Like,
yeah, that stuff.
The game industry used to throw an embarrassing amount of money around.
Well, it's just
publicity
funny.
And marketing.
It's funny because on all of these fronts, the timelines didn't line up.
Yeah.
Is that those I always think of the Bourne Identity game they put out or whatever, the Bourne Conspiracy or whatever.
Yeah.
Where I walked out and they're like, oh, we're sending a car to get you. All right. And I walk out and I see somebody in the parking lot of IGN taking like telescopic photos. And I'm like, that's fucking weird, but whatever. And I get in this car, and I'm heading. Oh, this was the one where they had sent us the phone, and the phone was like, in a week you're gonna get an update, and then it was this, and then meet the car down there, and he got in the car, and it was like they did this whole thing, drive me all around San Francisco to pick up briefcases and do this, to bring me back, to sit me down, to show me the fucking game, and then give me they took the photos of me here, there, and the other these places, and it was just like that would have been awesome for a YouTuber who was like super into Bourne, like as us, it was just like. Can you bring the fucking game to my desk and let me play it? And
can I just send the goddamn game?
Can I do direct feed? Can I do this? Can I do that? Like, don't.
All that other stuff was so in the way.
Yeah.
Of just like, oh, okay, you're telling me I have to go to fucking Mexico to see your lineup.
Yeah.
Right? When you and not necessarily in Atari's case, but like there were definitely cases like Capcom stuff like that. It's like, you're fucking 20 minutes away.
Yeah.
That's right. You want me to go to fucking Rome to see your fucking games?
Yeah.
Like, why? This is terrible. This is a horrible use of everyone's time. Yeah. Like, just let me come see the lineup. And yeah, they would, because I think a lot of the people, like, with these budgets planning these events, they're planning them because they wanted to go on them. And, it, like, I certainly had fun, and it was, like, it was like, sure, why not, I guess. But at the end of the day, it was just a hassle.
Yeah, exactly. And it was, because it, like, whereas now it would make sense to send a YouTuber who does a vlog and does this, and hey, I'm doing that.
And like a lot of makeup companies and stuff do exactly that.
And we just want to go play the game and come back and tell the audience about it. Like, don't, make it as easy as possible.
Send it.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, I know, right? Yeah. But the worst demo I ever had.
Got these debugs. Collecting dust.
I haven't used a debug
this generation
in so long.
is like, debugs are dead.
Yeah.
It's PlayStation 4 I have just sitting there, debug, nothing more. Worst demo
every 90
I ever
days,
had.
turn it back on though.
I know, right? Here comes the firmware.
Yeah.
I did an E3 and it was the year Connect was just happening, and it was Michael Phelps swimming or whatever, Olympic swimming.
Yeah.
And so it was me, like, all right, cool. They put me side by side with some other games person, all right. And at first, like, you just stretch to warm up. And like, so I do like this and I do this, and he does Kermit the Frog arms, and they're just all over slapping him in the face. And I'm like, oh, here we go. And so you jump in the water, and I'm going as fast as I can. I'm doing this, and the guy next to me is going. He's just cruising, and my guy hits the water and is just. And so and like if you're a listener at home, I'm moving my arms very slowly. I'm panicking though, and I'm hot. It's E3. I'm moving. I'm doing all this shit. Nothing is happening. Nothing. I get one lap in, and I'm fucking mad now. And I look over at the PR person. The PR person just like I'm expecting them to say, "All right, cool, demo's over." I look at them, and they just shrug.
Yeah.
And I'm like, all right. And I'm like, I literally go, are you fucking kidding me? And I'm like, oh. And so I go back to fucking horrible swimming, and I was like, I hate Connect, and I hate everything that's happening here.
Yeah, that's rough. Yeah, it is nice occasionally though to get those real moments from people representing a game where they're just like, yeah, I know.
I don't know, man. Just got to finish this race. There's no way to quit. That was the thing. The other guy beat me, lapped me.
Yeah,
I was like, we just got to finish the race.
It's like, all right,
great, thanks guys. Fun. This is good.
I'm done. I'm good.
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of stuff
Video
like
games.
that too.
Yeah. Games are dumb.
But they don't. Those events just don't happen as much anymore, or the extravagant ones really don't. But I feel like there aren't quite as many events as there used to be. Period, because like there aren't as many publishers out there that have large lineups to begin with.
Yeah.
So the idea, it used to be that every publisher, you go like, oh well, I got to go out here for Namco.
Well, it was Captivate, right? That's what
Capcom had
time.
Captivate. Yeah. And so.
Where they held you captive.
Right. Yeah.
And then Call of Duty used to do it too. We're like, we're sending you to some crazy place to review Call of Duty where it's a beautiful beach resort, but you're gonna sit in a hotel room.
Take a helicopter to go play Call of Duty.
Right. I rode on a helicopter and then to sit in a dark room and play Call of Duty. Like, oh, that was a fun experience. Like, it's the thing that people don't get is like, oh, they're treating you so lavishly. You must be giving these games high scores. Like,
this actually works against them.
This is actually
really
a really super negative thing.
Totally. Not that you take it out of the game. But
of course. But
never benefits the way.
Like, oh, so you're taking me away from my friends and family and locking me up for this thing that I could be playing on my own TV, on my own time.
Right.
And it makes even less sense as time goes on. So fewer companies do it. I don't even know if Call of Duty did one this year.
Yeah, that's why it is that thing when I get hey, it's a review event. I'm like, you're doing a review event for this game? We just got one recently for a game, and I'm like, no, I'm not sending somebody down there for 2 days.
It feels antiquated.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah. I feel like I've gotten 2 invites this year, and I like I said, I don't know if Call of Duty did one or not.
I don't know either. I didn't get invited.
Yeah.
All right, that's it for emails. Bombcast@giantbomb.com. Greg, thank you so much for coming.
No, thank you. This has been great, guys.
Yeah,
we need to do more stuff together.
Yeah, we should.
Halloween to remember.
A breakdancing.
There you go. That's exactly what I was
competition.
thinking.
Yeah, I'm pretty much just top of the mind. Like, we should.
That's the first thing.
Yeah, all right, cool.
First thing that comes to mind. It's like a real costume show outside.
Is it really?
I didn't expect just like half of GameSpot is like pretty well dressed up out there.
Huh. Yeah.
I'm impressed. We're 4 for 4 in here on costumes.
Yeah.
Real participation trophy here. All right. Well, that's it for this podcast.
Yeah.
Shall people stay tuned?
Yeah. Stay tuned.
We're gonna talk to you about that.
Okay. All right. We have some
tuned.
technical issues that we got to look at. And so we'll figure something out.
Okay. So as far as we know, there will be an after show.
Maybe.
Okay. There might be an after show.
Okay, great.
Maybe hang around.
All right.
Maybe these guys will be around to answer some phone calls.
Hopefully.
Here in a few minutes.
Sounded like no. I'm gonna say.
I'm gonna go out on a limb and say.
I'm gonna go out on a limb and say. Was that
your read on that?
Probably gonna miss it this week.
Okay.
But
right.
we'll figure. We'll check.
Hope springs eternal.
Check and see
around here.
All right.
All right. Well, that's gonna do it for the Giant Bombcast. Thanks for listening. We'll see you next week. Bye.
Bye.